everybody. We are live. Welcome to another Power Couple live stream. I am Stephanie, one half of that Power Couple. And tonight we're doing something a little bit different. So I've already done my skincare. That's why I'm dewy and I look like a glazed donut because that's gold, right? So we're going to be doing a skincare chat tonight. So for those who don't know, I've worked in the medical aesthetics field for I've worked in it for 10 years, but I've been involved with it for about 15. So I figure I put up a poll, see what you guys wanted to talk about, what you guys wanted to do tonight, because I've had a stressful couple of weeks, I'm not going to lie. So I needed something that was really chill, and just to kind of hang out and connect with you guys. I know we haven't been on very much lately, so I wanted something that was going to be refreshing for you guys, refreshing for me. So I'm excited to do this. I like switching things up sometimes. If you're new here, myself and my better half, Joe, we are variety streamers here on Twitch. So it's always a little bit of a mixed bag of content. We play a few different games, we take viewer requests, and then sometimes we do things like this where it's a little bit different, like throwing a corgi birthday party, or doing Halloween makeup, or even sometimes a cooking show. So, welcome. If you haven't already, hit that heart button and go ahead. Oh, but the nails really help, man. Hit that heart button. Give us a follow. My better half just walked into the room. He's hiding. Hello, Aaron. How are you? Look, it's a wild Joe. He does exist. He's not dead.
I'm still alive.
He just got home from work like not that long ago, so it's been a little bit crazy for both of us. Should I turn the music on?
No, I'm just wondering why your audio is coming in really, really light. So
You
continue.
know, that happened before. You don't believe me. I know. He's lying. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, so tonight we're gonna just talk about skincare. I will answer all your questions that you have. Please don't mind that I need to have my Botox done. But yeah. So, quick disclaimer, I put it in the chat as well. I just have to say it up front. I am not a physician. Anything that I talk about is not medical advice, and I'm not indicating that you should do the things that I tell you, that we talk about, or the questions that I answer. If you are going to undergo treatment or you want to start a new regimen, you should always consult either your general practitioner, your family doctor, or a dermatologist first. So there we go. Legalese is out of the way. The other thing is I'll put my link over here for shameless plug. So if you guys follow us on Twitter and Insta and all that stuff, we're Power Couple Gaming. But my professional, I should say, page is Skin Science with Steph. Thank you, Aaron. I got Aaron's approval for the healthcare disclaimer. So yeah, Skin Science with Steph is my Instagram page for work. I post some funny TikToks sometimes. The other day I took a bunch of shaving cream to the face to prove my love of retinol. It's a weird thing. You should check it out. My TikTok is the same as my other handles. So it's Crash Loves Danger, which is a whole separate. I have multiple things. I have 5 Instagram accounts on my phone between Power Couple, my personal page, my professional page, my company's page, and then of course I am Cooper's momager, so our dog Cooper. So yeah, I figure you guys can drop your questions in the chat. You can let me know. I do have social medias. I have all the social medias. Yeah, so we manage trying to think. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for Cooper. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest for my professionals account for work, the company account. I'm allowed. I'm half a power couple. I get to do this. And then yeah, I have a bunch of other ones. Strimmer is banned. Strim has been canceled. I've been canceled. So yeah, if you missed it, I'm shiny like a glazed donut right now because I did all my skincare before coming here. Don't mind my little zit that's coming in. And I can talk a little bit about, what I use and what my skin is like. Excuse me. I've had like a catch in my throat for the last like hour ever since I ate my Taco Bell. So I'm gonna drink a little sippy sip. So water's always a good skincare tip. You're made of like 80% water, so always good to feed your cells. So yeah, I can talk a little bit about things that are do's and don'ts, and then you guys can just kind of, as you think of things, pop them in the chat. So I love my future husbands. The question is, I hear Joe doesn't use skincare product on his, and his face looks Okay. So why is skincare important? Well, Joe could have the skin of an infant if he'd listen to me, but he doesn't listen to me. So skincare is important because primarily, so the most important skincare, right, is going to be preventative skincare. Now, if you want to do corrective skincare, that's going to be more to help you hit your goals, to help you feel confident, to help you feel beautiful, and to help you feel like your best version of yourself, right? That's going to be corrective skincare. That's going to take care of issues and problems. Preventative skincare is the one that everybody needs. So, of course, we want to keep our skin clean, but the biggest thing is always going to be sunscreen. So, I get asked all the time. I've been asked during interviews, I've been asked at events, I've been asked by patients probably 2 million times in the last 10 years. If I have to just use one product, what's the product I need to use? Everybody wants that one miracle product. And I tell people all the time, like, people want to lose 100 pounds and have the body of an 18-year-old, and they want to look like an infant. And they all think I have this miracle solution in a bottle. And I always say, oh my gosh, the dog running by literally just jiggled the entire setup. That was so funny. If I had a solution like that, Bezos would have nothing on me. I'd be a cajillionaire. The most important thing is going to be sunscreen. So sunscreen is going to help protect your skin from sun damage, of course, and help prevent skin cancer. But the other important thing is that it's also going to prevent breakdown of collagen. You wouldn't be so shocked at the number of patients I have that are like, skin cancer won't happen to me. That won't happen to me. That happens to other people. But the second we talk about collagen breakdown, they're like, "Oh my god, I'm going to stop tanning." So we actually have a lamp at work. It's similar to like a woods lamp. And we're actually able to look underneath your skin and show you the damage that's going to come out in the future. So something that kind of is a misconception is that age spots are related to age. What it really is that age spots come out with age. So damage that you accumulate over the years, it's all under there, and we can already see that damage starting to form. And it scares people straight. People who, I had a girl tell me one time, I have 2 tanning memberships because they don't let you go twice in the same day, which is horrifying. But so things like that. I put her under the lamp. She was in her 20s and she had a face full of sun damage, and she was shocked. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cancel my membership like today, and I have Greek skin. I'll just have to deal with the color that I am." And I'm like, I tell every patient, right? Your most beautiful shade of skin is going to be the shade you were as a baby, right? Everybody has a different skin tone, a different complexion, warm, cool, light, dark. There's all kinds of different things, right? Yellow or pink undertones. The most beautiful skin for you is going to be the color you had when you were a newborn, because that skin is perfect. It is flawless. It is plump. It is even. It's super healthy. So that's what we want to be aiming for, is healthy skin. More than anything else, that's what we want. You've been told that using Vaseline is the secret. I do know people who do that. I think it feels horrific. I love like Aquaphor or Vaseline like on my nails at night, or on my lips sometimes. It's a very occlusive product, and Vaseline, I believe, is petroleum based, which is not necessarily great for your skin. There are procedures that we perform where we use things like Aquaphor after the procedure, and I have to tell you, 9 times out of 10, patients cannot wait to be done. Again, so the main thing is going to always be sunscreen, but you know, again, that's going to be in the preventative skincare, right? So using a good gentle cleanser or a cleanser that suits your skin, making sure that your skin is clean, making sure that you're not committing some of the skin sins, like going to sleep with a face full of makeup, which I know Dolly Parton does, and it just kills me every time. It's just a little piece of my soul dies. But things like that, keeping it clean and keeping it protected with sunscreen, and reapplying your sunscreen every 2 hours, sooner if sweating or swimming. A few years ago, the FDA revised some skincare and sunscreen safety information, and it's on most packaging now. So you can no longer say things are sweat proof. You can no longer say that sunscreens are waterproof. They have to tell you sweat resistant, water resistant, and for how long. Now, that number for the most part tends to be a max of 80 minutes. So that means if you're at the beach, no more than an hour and 20 minutes before you reapply. So keep that in mind. And there are some products that are great for reapplication if you don't want to be really greasy or things like that. Again, I know people who claim cold cream, Vaseline. My grandmother puts egg whites on her face. There's all kinds of funky at home things, but truly, truly, the biggest things is going to be a gentle cleanser like a Cetaphil and a sunscreen. Neutrogena makes some really good ones. La Roche-Posay makes some really good ones if you want to get stuff at the drugstore. It doesn't have to break the bank. You just want to make sure that it's good quality and that you're not using expired products. That's another biggie that a lot of people are like, it's fine. Products tend to be good for about 1 year after the expiration date. It's the same with medications for the most part. But especially with sunscreen, you don't really want to push it that far. And then there are some other products, things like hydroquinone, where you want to be really careful. So I don't ever recommend using an expired retinol, expired hydroquinone, expired vitamin C, and expired sunscreen. Things like cleansers and toners, I'm less concerned about. It's not going to have as ill an effect as some of those other ones would be. And guys, too, if you have questions about metastatic procedures or things like that, too, I'm happy to talk about those things as well. So, any questions you have, sorry, I'm getting a bajillion notifications. My apologies. I've also been working from home today on my day off because I had a crazy situation in the last 2 weeks. Like I said, work has been super stressful. Life has been super stressful. So I have been technically working today from home. So I'm still getting phone calls and text messages and things like that. So anyway, so I mentioned preventative skincare. So corrective skincare, that's going to be your things like, anti-aging, rosacea, eczema, acne, hyperpigmentation or dark spots, melasmas, which are those patches, um, 6 kids. What's the secret to the skincare of 6 kids? Like them aging you? Is that what it is? Because I don't know. Although I do always tell, so I get a lot of moms who are like, oh, I can't, like, I need to spend it on my kids. I can't do this for myself right now. And I always tell people, you need to make sure you take care of you too. And what I always say to patients is when you're on an airplane, they tell you adjust your own mask before assisting others. It is important for you to take care of yourself, even if it is like 10 minutes of you time to take care of your skin and just get a little bubble for yourself. That's not selfish. It's not greedy. It's important. So you get the angry lines. You get these guys, those glabella lines, those I'm mad lines. I get a lot of patients who come in and they're like, everyone thinks I'm angry. I'm not angry. I squint a lot. So I don't get a lot of crow's feet. You can see I don't really get much. I don't smile that big that often. I kind of have RBF. But if you look here, I always say it's like a little triangle. I don't have 11s. And then I have quite a few. I call it my accordion forehead. I am due for my neurotoxin like so badly. But the cobbler's children go without shoes. I need to get myself in for an appointment. But so these guys here, so this is your glabella muscle. And so if you're angry or you squint is when you can kind of, see these. So they will start to etch over time. So neurotoxins are going to last you 3 to 4 months typically. There is one being approved right now. It's going through the FDA process. It'll be launching, I think, either late this year or early next year from a company called Revance Aesthetics. And it's supposed to be a long-term Botox, basically. It's just Botox is a brand name. So I forget what they're calling theirs, but it's supposed to be a 6-month formulation. So we also call those yeah, right. We actually already buy some products from Advance, but they've already announced this, so I think I missed the gravy train on that one. But basically, you expect it to last 3 to 4 months. Normally, I get some patients who last 6 weeks. I get some who last 6 months. Everybody's a little different. The sooner you can start with neurotoxins or temporary wrinkle reducers, the better. So I started at 19 for these guys here because they were already semi-etched and semi-permanent kind of. These guys I've started doing more recently because as I get older, I find I'm squinting, especially at screens. I don't love needles, but I hate wrinkles more. That's what I always tell my patients. It's uncomfortable. Some spots more than others, mostly because I don't like getting poked with a needle. I have other patients who are like, oh, I don't care at all. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. Everybody's different. It does take, we say 7 to 14 days. Typically it's 3 to 7 days. And when you do it, everyone always expects smooth and ironed out as soon as the results kick in. But I tell people it's kind of like if you fold a piece of paper, right? So if you fold a piece of paper once, you can probably smooth that crease out pretty well and it won't be too noticeable. But if you fold that piece of paper 100 times, it's going to be really hard to get those creases out. So it takes time for you, as your skin is turning over, to unetch those lines, if you will. So as new skin is turning over, if you're not making that crease, you're giving your skin a chance to kind of smooth out. Now you get patients who go, I'm not ready for Botox yet, maybe when I'm a little older, and they're 60. And it's like, by the time they come in, it's not going to go away. We can reduce the movement, but there's not a lot that we can do as far as kind of with Botox to make that line disappear. Now we can combine it with other treatments. We get asked a lot about putting filler right here. And I tell you right now, there are practices that do it. It is extremely dangerous. We do not do it at my practice. You can go blind, like straight up blind, from putting filler here. It is so dangerous. Even if a person knows the anatomy really, really well, everyone's anatomy is slightly different. And it is not worth it to get a quick fix and end up blind. So it's a big no-no for us. Like I said, there are places that do it. I always just say be cautious, research your injector, research your facility that you're going to go to before you go. Do a consultation, ask lots of questions, look up the safety and efficacy, things like that. We do offer things like microneedling. That's a great way. It takes time, right? You got to come for visits. So people want it like now. It's my wrinkles. I want them gone now. So I think it's worth the wait for safety. Microneedling is a great collagen induction therapy. Yes, you're going to want to come probably 4 times once a month for 4 months, but it's a lot safer than trying to just fill it. So that kind of reminds me of something else too. So with fillers, a lot of times people get nervous when they hear things like, oh, it's being used off label. That's not safe. And that's not necessarily what that means. So the example that I like to use frequently is, so for example, Juvederm was not approved for lip enhancement, so getting lip filler, until about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, it got the FDA approval for that. People have been doing Juvederm in the lips for, God, probably 10 years. I don't even know. It was since whenever Juvederm came out. It just hadn't been approved yet by the FDA. It was still safe to do. There are some things, there's other types of products out there that are not approved for certain areas, but then we get to use them. And it's an off-label use. And there's a difference between being off-label and being, prohibited or unsafe. So great off-label use. A lot of people will get Sculptra for their butt. Sculptra's not indicated for the buttocks, but Sculptra for buttocks is so popular. It's basically a biostimulator that makes you create more collagen. And so people will do it all over their butt to smooth out their butt and round it out. Again, not approved, but very common. I had Quo done, which is a cellulite treatment. It's an injection. It is only approved by the FDA in the buttocks of women. Think about that for a second. Only the buttocks of women. Now, first of all, the buttocks is not the only place to get cellulite, and not only women get cellulite. Now, mostly women get cellulite, but some men get cellulite too. But that's not who they studied and tested it on. That's not how the FDA approved it. Now, will that approval come down the line? Probably. I'm assuming so. I also think it's going to get approval eventually for the thighs. But right now, there is a protocol for doing the thighs. It's just not an on-label use. It's an off-label use. That doesn't mean that it's unsafe. It just means the FDA hasn't given their stamp of approval on it yet. That's all that means. And then things like toxins. I mean, there are so many uses for neurotoxins, and some are on-label and some are off-label. I think there's like 30 indications for on-label use for medical Botox. So cervical dystonia, I've heard of it being used for clubfoot. I've heard of it being used for TMJ issues. So if you grind your teeth or you have that lockjaw, which I do and it sucks, you can actually get, so you have your masseter muscle, right? And then you have your temporalis muscle. And you can do both of those for TMJ to soften. And what it does, basically what happens, and so people always like are like, oh my God, like, does it paralyze you? What is it? How does it work? Neuromodulators in general, they basically, and the thing is it's not in your body for the 3 to 4 months. That's the other big thing. People always think like, oh my God, it's in my body. It's not. It's kind of, I tell people it's like taking a Tylenol, right? You take it, the medicine goes into effect, eventually that effect wears off, and you'll have to take it again, but it doesn't like live in perpetuity in your body. I'll get a little sciencey for a second, and you guys can always ask me questions if you want clarifications. So basically, when you do a muscle movement, your neurons will fire off acetylcholine, and that acetylcholine will bind to a receptor, and it kind of sends that signal, right? And that message gets passed along. Hey, I want to do this movement. Great. I want to do this movement, right? Voluntary or involuntary, doesn't matter. That acetylcholine is going to bind. It's going to say, hey, do this. Neurotoxins like Botox, Dysport, Jeuveau, Xeomin, whatever the new one's going to be. In Europe, they have MyoBlock. That's another one. All of them work by similar mechanisms. Now, each brand name uses a slightly different strain, and that's another big thing. So I'm like, oh my God, you're giving me botulism. It's not. It's a byproduct, which I'll get to that in a moment. But basically, they work in similar ways from different strains. It essentially will block that acetylcholine receptor. Now, if you think of it as almost like a basketball and a basketball hoop, normally you can just shoot it into the hoop, no problem, or at least other people can, not me. And this would be like putting a lid or something on top of it. Once those receptor sites have something bound to them, nothing else can fit there. So that acetylcholine's got nowhere to go, and that message can't be received. And so you get sort of this shut off of those acetylcholine receptors for a certain amount of time. And again, it varies patient to patient, but 3 to 4 months is pretty usual. And in that time, those receptors will slowly start to regain their ability to bind. Just like when you first inject it, it's not instant. It takes a little bit of time. And sometimes people will notice it more in one spot than another. So for example, my left side always is a little bit more. My right side always kicks in faster. It's just one of those things where it's how it goes. And, some receptors will start to wake up, if you will, a little sooner than others. And that's why you'll notice slight amounts of movement first. And then it gets more and more and more pronounced and more back to baseline. I'm trying to think what else. There are different ways of injecting too. And the other thing too is, we can even do, like, I have a friend, we do it for her nose, and it just lifts. So she does like right here, and she just likes her nose. She goes, I want a snob nose. It's the funniest thing. That's how she would start. She's like, I want a snob nose. She's like, I want my nose to be turned up. So you can put a little bit there, and it will relax it enough to go up. That's another big part of it, is knowing if they are muscles that are pulling up or pulling down, or how they're working. Because when you relax them, it's going to kind of change different things. So like when you do the TMJ Botox, it can also slim the jaw. It can make it look thinner because of those muscles not pulling in the same way. So those are the things too. And again, always talk to an injector, always see what they say first, and, make a plan with them. But we can use it just cosmetically. So Botox is the only one approved for 3 areas. So glabella, frontalis, and then the crow's feet. They're all used for it. It's just how it goes. But anyway, other places we use it is bunny lines, which I don't know if I can make bunny lines. I don't think I have them, but they're the little lines that kind of happen right here when you like scrunch up your nose. So Cooper does it really cute. He scrunches up his nose. But right up in here, you can do it to get rid of that. You can do a little bit around the mouth for smoker's lines to avoid the puckering, because even straws, and that is really difficult to get rid of, those smoker's lines. So don't do straws and don't smoke. Use a regular glass. We can do, like I said, you can lift the nose a little bit. You can do a lip flip, which is a real fun one. Lip flips are a great way to test drive if you think you'd want to do lip filler, because essentially we relax this tissue and then this turns up and this turns out just a little bit, because you have a lot of lip on the inside. So it turns that out a little bit on the top and on the bottom and exposes more of that lip tissue. And it runs about $100 usually. So it's a really nice way to kind of test drive and see if lip filler might be something you want. Do you like the way you look with an enhanced lip? Do you like that little bit of a bigger look? Because it's not for everybody. It does wear off faster because we can't put a lot. And this is a very dynamic area. We do a lot of moving, talking, if you're me, eating, all those things. It's important to note too, if you do a lip flip, you're probably not gonna be able to use a straw. You're probably not gonna be able to whistle. There's a funny story about, it's not really funny, but it's a story that we use often, where a woman had it done and didn't realize that she wouldn't be able to, move her mouth in certain ways. And she was a flautist with the Philharmonic and couldn't play for like 2 months because she couldn't. Flautists will kind of pull their lip over to play the flute, and she could not do that. So always kind of, have those conversations again with your provider. We can do the TMJ thing, like I said, which again can also slim the jawline. You can do I don't even know if I can do it, the platysmal bands. These guys, it's so hard. It's so hard. You gotta make, there's a lot of ugly faces in aesthetics, okay? But if you, these guys, these little guys. I know some people are more pronounced. I don't have very pronounced platysmas. But it's those bands. And for some people, it looks really webby. We can relax those guys. I'm trying to think what else. There are so many myriad uses of Botox. And again, there's so many medical indications. It got approved for pediatric use last year, and they like raised a bunch of money. It was cool. So back to kind of what I was saying before too about, which I'm gonna start opening some candy. This is just a side note. About the, oh, I'm being injected with botulism. You're giving me botulism. I actually had a woman who called my office flipping out saying, "You poisoned me. You gave me botulism." We don't give you botulism. We give you botulinum toxin type A, which is the toxin, but not actual botulism. There's a big, big, big difference. And the easiest way that I explain it to patients is this. Penicillin comes from mold. But if you get an infection and we give you penicillin, you're not straight up just eating mold. You're getting a derivative from that mold. And we know that it has a beneficial use. Botulinum toxin A has been used for, I think, over 50 years at this point for different things. Cosmetically, I think it celebrated its like 20th anniversary a couple years ago. It's very well understood. It's very well researched. It's very well documented. We know how to use it. When you do it for things like migraines, you start getting into really, really high levels, high dosages, if you will. And you can start to see with medical uses more side effects sometimes, but typically for cosmetic, it's really few side effects, if any. Whereas if you were actually getting botulism, you would be in really, really rough shape. I am such a nerd that back in undergrad when I took microbiology, we had to pick a bacterial organism and do our final project and part of our final exam. And I did Clostridium botulinum, which is the bacterium from which Botox comes. And like I said, all the brands. So if I say, "Hey, can you pass me a Kleenex?" If you don't have Kleenex brand and you have puffs, you're not going to go, "Oh, sorry, I don't have it." Same thing. You still mean a tissue, right? So people will say Botox, but they mean, neurotoxins or neuromodulators or temporary wrinkle relaxers. They have all these different names now. There are different brands. Each one has sort of a proprietary strain, if you will. So you have Onabotulinum, I think Anabotulinum, Probotulinum is Jeuveau, Oncobotulinum is another one, and then there's the new one too that's going to be the 6-month one. I cannot, but it's right. Probotulinum, Anabotulinum, I don't know, there's a bunch, but basically that's all that is. So there's slightly different strains of the bacterium, and they produce very similar toxins, and so they work in pretty much the same way. People have preferences for different ones. For the most part, dosing is very similar. Reconstitution is very similar. When it ships, it looks like a little vial of nothing. It's the most expensive little vial of nothing you've ever seen. And it has to get reconstituted. And people use different dilutions. People are like, oh, they diluted it. Well, yes, we have to dilute it. We have to get it into solution in order to inject it because it is a tiny amount of hydrolyzed powder. You can't even barely see it in the vial. It is like impossible. So yes, we have to reconstitute it. We're not diluting it down. We're not watering things down. It has to be reconstituted. And they're done in different ways for different concentrations, depending again on, is it a medical use or a cosmetic use? And there's kind of typical and standard ways of doing it, but everyone's kind of got their own way. Each one has some slight differences again. So the four big ones, at least in the US, again, Europe has myoblock, but I'm not in Europe and I'm not super familiar with myoblock. I just know of its existence. The big four are Botox, Dysport, Jeuveau, and Xeomin. For the most part, they're all pretty much the same, similar, except for Dysport. So Dysport, I always tell people it's kind of like if you compare like Tylenol and ibuprofen, you can't take the same dose because it's not quite the same. Yes, they're both pain relievers, but you take different quantities, right? So Dysport is sort of a 3-to-1 with the other toxins. So people always like, oh, it's cheaper. Well, it's not cheaper. It's just the way the dosing works out, it's going to come out to the same price. So to get the same effect, we're using just triple the amount. The time for onset, some people say Dysport kicks in a little faster. Dysport tends to spread a little bit more easily, so it's great for especially people who get really, really radiated out crow's feet. Fantastic for that because it really gets all of those. Jeuveau is lovely for things like lip flips and bunny lines because it stays exactly where you put it. People will call Xeomin the organic Botox or the natural Botox. All it is that it's been purified to remove an accessory protein from the toxin. Xeomin, the people who manufacture it, their manufacturing facilities in Europe were actually doing European production of Botox for quite some time, and then they split off their own way and they developed Xeomin. Now, some people think it works better. Some people think it's the same. Some people think they like Botox better. Injectors will have preferences. Patients will have preferences. I, for one, I've had all of them. I have a hard time with Dysport personally. It makes me really sick. I've been told there is an egg protein in part of the mixture for Dysport, and so that could be why. I can eat eggs normally, but for some reason when I get Dysport, I just have a really hard time. So, and sometimes injectors will combine. So you might be doing one area with one toxin and another area with a different toxin. Again, it's going to be injector preference and patient preferences. There's no one way to do it. And in fact, there shouldn't be one way to do it. You really want to kind of go based on each patient. So that's kind of the neurotoxins. And if anybody has more kind of particular questions on those, I can definitely talk about that till the cows come home. It's one of my favorite things. I've been doing neurotoxins for 13 years. 13 years I've been getting Botox. So we're well acquainted. We're good friends. Again, hate the needles. Love the results. Okay, so let's go back to kind of skincare for a little bit because we kind of went off to the world of metaesthetics. So if you guys have particular concerns or questions about treating, particular conditions, just let me know. So, some of the more common things, I'd say the most common thing we see for corrective skincare is probably hyperpigmentation and discoloration. And then some melasmas. A lot of people think they have melasma, but it has to be diagnosed by a dermatologist. And it's a very particular looking type of hyperpigmentation. It tends to kind of appear as like a splotch or kind of a big patch versus like mine. You can probably see a little bit, maybe not. I have like freckling and things like that, like a little bit. It's not terrible. This is actually a good example of PIH. It's post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So if I get a pimple, like this guy is still fresh, but like if I get one, this is a few days old. It's still a little red, here. I probably have some on this side too. But that's going to be where the inflammation leaves behind discoloration, and it can be resolved. Some people are more prone to that than others. There are certain ethnicities and certain skin types that tend to be more prone to developing certain types of conditions. Like I said, melasma is a very, very particular type of thing, and it needs to be diagnosed by either your physician or your dermatologist. It's very common hormonally. So a lot of women will get what they call pregnancy mask. And Erin, I know you have 6 kids, so I don't know if you've ever experienced this with any of your pregnancies, but either during or right after their pregnancy, they'll notice, hey, oh my gosh, I've got these splotches all of a sudden. I don't know what gives with this. And those big hormonal changes can bring on that pregnancy mask, that melasma. And so once that person is no longer, pregnant or breastfeeding, we can start to kind of treat that. But we don't do really anything on pregnant or breastfeeding women just because of safety. I hear puppy paws. You had pups. Oh, I have a different kind of pup. He's the corgi kind of pup. But yeah, so that can develop. That's pretty common. I see a lot of that. Of course, people get it from tanning. Let me get Cooper, actually. Come here, babies. You want to come on camera? Come here. Oh. He ran away. Maybe Joe will pick him up. He doesn't want to be picked up by me, apparently. But yeah, so obviously sun can do it. Heat, oddly enough, and this is one a lot of people don't know about, and I'll talk about 2 big ones, is heat and blue light, because those are 2 big ones that a lot of people don't realize can cause skin damage and things like hyperpigmentation. So the population that you'd least expect to have it, right, would be cooks, right? They're indoors most of the day. They're not exactly laying on the beach. They tend to have a lot of hyperpigmentation. And it's from high heat, and that causes it. Oh, there's a baby coming in here. This baby has perfect skin, although actually, Cooper did once have a blackhead, and I had to get rid of it. Oh, boy, where's your hide the people? Cooper has a very good regimen. He likes his TUBB wise, and then he regularly brushes his teeth. Cooper's getting a little bit of jowling. We'll see that as we get older. We'll do a little facelift. Ashley gets acne? I mean, they can. Anytime you have any kind of hair follicle, it can get clogged. Oh my goodness. Are we a couple of redheads just being foxy? Come on. Can I get a kiss from me, please? Get a little one. Get a little, please.
He's like, no, thank you.
Cooper doesn't like to give kisses. It's gotta be on his terms. Okay, I love. But yeah, no, dogs can get acne.
Butt.
No.
That's my butt.
I'm gonna have a little bite of my Laffy Taffy. But yes, so yeah, animals, pets, anybody who's got hair, fur, anything, you can definitely get it. Babies get a lot of milia. Yeah, milia is very different than acne or some of the more traditional types of things we think of, but milia can be a pain in the ass. They're really difficult to get rid of, and you really want to have a professional do it. So I can go over to, you've got everything from your comedones, which are white and blackheads. An open comedone is a blackhead. A closed comedone is a whitehead. They're basically the same thing internally. What happens is when a blackhead, basically once it's exposed to air, all that gunk that's in there, the sebum and all that, it starts to oxidize and it gets dark. That's the difference. But as far as like what they're comprised of, very similar. You have your papules and pustules, which are going to be more like your traditional acne. Like when we talk about acne, we think of like an actual pimple, right? Whether it's cystic and below the skin, or if it's more superficial and it's erupting into a head. All that kind of, that's all those are in the acne category. Now, milia are not in the acne category, but a lot of people kind of lump them all in there because it looks like a skin congestion. It looks like a whitehead sometimes. But if you've had babies, a lot of times babies will get milia. So it's those little white bumpies that you'll see. And they'll kind of usually be like little clusters of them. Eventually, a lot of times they'll resolve on their own, especially in little kids. It tends to kind of just go away eventually. As an adult, a lot of people want to like mess with it, right? They want to like pop, they want to squeeze, but it's not from a pore. So there isn't a follicle there to squeeze out of, right? So like with a normal, so say this is my pore and this is the content, eventually like it'll come to the top and it can come out. That's not the case with Amelia. Amelia doesn't, it's this skin over it. There's no hole there. There's no follicle. So you can squeeze and squeeze and squeeze, and eventually you might break the skin and be able to remove the contents, but you're going to cause a lot of inflammation and a lot of damage, and you're more likely to scar yourself that way. And you don't really want to treat Amelia yourself at home, physically anyway. There are some great products that can help with turning over the skin and helping keep it clear of things like milia, like blackheads, like whiteheads. So things like alpha hydroxy and beta hydroxy acids, using them consistently, and they can take a little time to work. So that's the other big thing, is giving your products enough time to work. 6 to 10 weeks tends to be what we call a KMC, or a keratinocyte maturation cycle. It's a very fancy way of saying baby skin cell grows up and becomes a full-blown skin cell. And in that KMC time, about 1/3 of your skin turns over. So to see big changes, you want to kind of wait those blocks of 6, 8, 10 weeks. And as you get older, that slows down, which is like the saddest thing ever. So we try to stimulate the skin and turn it over. But those AHAs and BHAs are going to help kind of get rid of dead skin at the surface, avoid things like congestion, and keep the skin clear and turning over. But they can take sometimes up to 12 to 16 weeks to really see those results. So stick with things and really be patient, because I've had patients who change routines, I don't know, every couple of weeks because it's not working. Well, you didn't give it time to work. And that's the biggest thing, is consistency above everything else. Being consistent with your regimen and sticking with it, even if it's not super fun, even if it's been a few weeks, wait until you're doing your follow-up with your provider and then say, hey, listen, it's been 2 months and I'm not seeing changes. Okay, well, now let's revisit it. Now let's take a look and see what's going on, because something else might need to be tweaked. But so those milia, you don't want to get rid of them physically. Now, if you go in for a facial, in most states, an esthetician can take a little lancet, which is just a little sharp metal thing that's sterile. When your face is clean, they'll poke it and they'll make basically a hole for it to come out of, and they'll remove it. And it's kind of like a waxy substance. So I've heard it said that biotin can actually cause you to get more milia. Really, you don't need a biotin supplement. Something I get asked a lot is biotin and collagen supplements. Unless you are deficient in something and your doctor says, hey, Steph, you're really deficient in this when we're in, a panel. You should be taking a supplement. So a great example for me. I need to take an iron supplement. I don't always remember to take my iron supplement. That's a whole other thing. But I am borderline iron anemic. So like I can't give blood because I'm so iron deficient. So I'm supposed to be taking an iron supplement. I don't always remember. But a lot of people will just take supplements without necessarily having a real need for it. And that happens a lot with biotin, right? Like I have friends who are like, oh my God, I do sugar bear hair. It's basically just candy with some biotin in it. For most people, it's not going to hurt, but it can clog up your skin. It can cause some other issues. But again, it's not going to magically give you beautiful skin. It's not going to magically make your hair grow. It may make things like your nails a little stronger or whatever, but it's not, again, unless you're deficient, you really don't need to take those things. Now, as far as collagen supplements, that's one I get asked a lot about. And I'm going to be completely frank. I don't know enough about the science behind collagen supplements and the things they purport to do. Obviously, we want to stimulate collagen in our skin, but as far as orally ingested collagen, whether that's a collagen water or collagen creamer, which actually I've met the founder of Vital Proteins, who makes all the collagen everything's, shakes and creamers and you name it. Super nice. I met her a few years ago at a trade show when they were just launching. I think that was the year that they got picked up by Target, which was cool. But again, it's kind of buzzy. It's one of those things where like everyone was really getting into it. I don't think collagen supplements can really hurt. But again, it's not something I know enough about to say like, yes, recommended, do them. I need to do a little bit more research myself to see if that's worthwhile. Because, when you're ingesting it, how well is it being absorbed? How well is it being utilized by your body? And there's different types of collagens. Like, a lot of people don't realize that there are multiple types of collagen and they have different kinds of structures. Like, I always get it mixed up, but like collagen 1 and collagen 3 are ones that we talk about a lot. And one of them is almost very fluffy, like almost like if you think like a cotton ball, right? It's like fluffy looking structurally, keeps you really plump. Babies have tons of it. And as we get older, it starts to convert into a different type of collagen, and that's more like fibrous and almost like if you think like a rope. And it doesn't have quite that same plumpness. So there are products that will help to try to convert the ropey type collagen into the more fluffy type collagen, right? Because we want that plumpness that babies have, that fullness to their skin. We don't want to have, breaks in our skin, and we don't want to have sagging. We don't want to have all those lovely age-related things. So, does taking a collagen supplement help in that? And that's something where, again, for me, the jury's still out, and I need to really, read some research. And I don't know how much research has really been done, true research. So that's something I get asked a lot that I got to look into because I don't know. I have another quick little bite of my Laffy Taffy. But yeah, guys, let me know if you've got questions too. Again, otherwise I'll just keep rambling on about everything. Let's see, another big question I get all the time is how to apply your products. Especially patients who get really excited and they want to have every product under the sun. You don't need every product. You just need the products that are going to benefit your skin. You don't need 8 kinds of cleansers. You don't need umpteen exfoliators. You really just got to find what works for you. But then people are like, okay, well, I have all these serums and all these creams and all these this and that. I have no idea how to use it. And that's important because if your products aren't layered properly, it's a waste of your product. It's a waste of your money. It's a waste of your time. I've had patients where, so a lot of times I'll ask them, okay, tell me how you're using your products. Because they're like, I don't think I see much of a difference. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about it. How are you using them? When are you using them? How often are you using them? And I'll have patients tell me, and I'll say, is that the order you use it in? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, here's your problem. Some of your products aren't penetrating. They can't do shit if they're not in your skin. And some ingredients don't play well with one another. So we want to be mindful of those things. Obviously, we cleanse, we exfoliate, we tone. Those are the first kind of steps always, right? Serums are going to always go on first. Then you go to like your lotions, which are thinner consistency, creams, and then if you have stuff that's really like emollient or thick, that goes on last, or if it's a high molecular weight product. Now, that's not something that will be on like the front of a package, let's say, so that can be tricky. A lot of times it's going to come down to your provider really knowing the product and knowing what it is and how it works and them having that knowledge. But if you have a high molecular weight product and you put things that are lighter weight on top, it's like a barrier. It's not going to get through. There's no point in putting anything else on. And so like one of the lines that we use a lot of at work and that I'm a big fan of has 4 products that are high molecular weight products. And one of them happens to be a vitamin C. Now, everyone always thinks, oh, vitamin C goes on first thing before everything else. And in a lot of formulations, that's true, specifically because they come in very fluid serums. This one comes in a suspension base, and it has a high molecular weight, and it prevents it from oxidizing, but it goes on last before sunscreen. And again, it's one of those things like vitamin C is always first, but it gets like ingrained in you of what you have to do. So it doesn't work that way. And so I've had patients be like, yeah, I put my vitamin C on first and I put everything else. I'm like, okay, nothing is getting through it because you're occluding. Now, typically things that are going to be a higher molecular weight, you're going to kind of feel it a lot of the times, not always. A lot of times they will have a base that feels, and I don't want to say thicker, but Some of them will feel almost like if you've ever used like a makeup primer that has like a silicone in it, and it's got that feel like that slip, but that little bit of weight to it, it's going to have a similar type of feel. And not always. Like there's a growth factor serum that I use. It feels really rich and silky, and it feels like it's locking everything in. And it is, because again, it's high molecular weight. So that matters. And whenever you're starting a new regimen, make sure to talk to your provider, ask them, hey, explain to me how to use this. A lot of times for my patients, I will write out, we have like what we call prescription pads of the products. And I will list out what they're using and I will number them. Tell them 1 pump of this, AM regimen, PM regimen. Are you using it every day or every other day? How are we kind of acclimating your skin to it? What's the way that's going to work for you? And I will write it all out specifically, because it can take a couple of weeks to kind of really build that habit and get used to using all these new products if you're using them. So don't be afraid to ask your provider, like, hey, and I like, for me, I give my Instagram handle, which I'll put out there again. But I give it to all my patients. I'll say, hey, are you on Instagram? And they'll usually say yes. And I'll say, hey, well, if you want, you can DM me if you forget anything we talked about or you have questions that you think of later on in the day. And I'm just gonna drop that in chat. So I'll have people DM me like, oh my gosh, like, forgot to ask you. I finally picked up the product we had talked about, because I'll put it in their chart. Like if they're like, I can't afford it today, or I want to wait a little bit, not a problem. I'll put it in their chart. I'll say, hey, whenever you want to come in and get it, it's here, it's available. Sometimes they'll come in when I'm not there and they'll be like, hey, I stopped by, I picked up this product. I don't know where to put it in my regimen. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask those kinds of questions. And of course, you can always reach out to me as well. But if you're working with a skincare professional, just make sure to, talk to them. And that's something I should probably give a little clarification on too. So like if I'm giving my disclaimer that I'm not a doctor, I'm not an esthetician, what the hell am I and what makes me qualified to talk about this stuff? So I have my bachelor's of science in biology. Bio's always had a strong place in my heart. And I had a pre-med focus. So I focused a lot on things like anatomy and physiology, biochemistry, not molecular bio, but like cellular bio, things like that. Microbio, lots of people-y type things, and not so much like plants and stuff like that. It's not really my type of bio. I don't like that kind of bio. So mine was more pre-med kind of bio. So there's that part of it. Again, I've been in the industry for about 10 years. So I've been working in the industry for 10 years, but I've been around it for about 15. And, I do a lot of research. I basically am in charge of researching products and technologies for my company before we try anything out, before we test them out on our staff, and before we make any decisions on whether to take them on. So we test everything in-house before giving it the seal of approval to come on as something that we're offering, because we want to know that the efficacy is there. So I'm the nerd who gets to read, published papers and studies, and I get to kind of look at the clinical validations and have that information to provide not just to the owners and to the team, but to also be able to explain to patients, like, this is the why it works. Because I will have companies that come in, they're like, oh, just trust me, like, it's an amazing product. And I'll be like, okay, well, why is it an amazing product? Where's your research? Where are your white papers? Where are, your studies done outside of your own company? We want third-party research that's unbiased. I want to see comparative studies. I want to see histology reports. So I'm kind of the nerd that gets to do all of those type of things and kind of weed out the things that I know are not going to be a good fit for our company, and then kind of boil them down and present them to the team and explain the science of why. And that's the thing. So that's that bio background part of it. And then I'm also certified as a skin health expert through Zio Skin Health. So Dr. Abaji is a world-renowned dermatologist. He's specifically known for hyperpigmentation treatments. The man is in his 70s and he looks incredible. It's ridiculous. He founded a really famous company called Abaji Medical Products. And then some things had happened with that. He left the company and began a new company. And they really focus a lot on cellular medicine and research, and then kind of they're never satisfied. Like, enough is never enough with them. Like, they're always researching more. So I've done a series of courses through them to become a specialist and then an expert. And that included things like histology courses, learning specifics about different types of conditions. So things like rosaceas, acne, your more inflammatory type things, pigment issues, dryness and sensitivity, things like that, like, managing reactions, all those things come together, and then how to manage it with treatment, how to manage it with home care, and understanding on a cellular level, why do these things happen? Like a lot of people think, oh, if you have rosacea, you're dry, irritated, and sensitive. And something that a lot of people don't realize is that if you have rosacea, a lot of times you also have an excess of sebum. And you might not realize it. You might not be like, oh my gosh, I get acne and I break out. It might not be that. But that sebum can be inflammatory, can cause that redness response. So that's something that not a lot of people know. And so we have to be there to have that supporting information and explain and show, hey, this is how this mechanism works. This is why we use this. And this is what the outcome will be. And then kind of helping the patient to kind of get to that point. And then things like pigment. Like I said, pigment is probably one of the number one things patients come in for, as far as like actual skin concerns. Because, it's if I knew then what I know now, I would have never laid out in the sun. I would have never tanned. I would have never done this, that. We all know now you're not supposed to go tanning. We know now you shouldn't lay out in the sun. It causes a lot of damage. What we are learning now, though, is that blue light damage can actually be more damaging than UV. So I always warn people, we know now what we wish we would have known in the 70s and the 80s, right? If we'd only known then and not used baby oil. Research moves a lot faster now. So in recent years, we're all on our technology, right? I have an iPad at home. I wake up, I check my phone first thing in the morning. I'm on my iPad last thing at night. I'm on the computer for you guys. I'm on the computer at work. Constant screens. Now, the sun does emit a little bit of blue light. It's a very small amount, but electronics kind of offer an intensified amount. So if you think of, the sun versus a tanning bed, it's the same thing with the sun versus electronics. That blue light actually penetrates deeper into the skin than the UV does. So there's a few things that are really big. So infrared radiation, which is heat damage, which we talked about. You have your UVA, B, and C, which penetrates a little deeper, right? So I always remind people too, think of A for aging and B for burns. So your A for aging is what causes your skin cancers. Your B for burning is what causes the immediate response. So even if you're not burning, you could be getting that damage from that UVA that's going a little deeper. That HEV, or high energy visible light, or blue light, is penetrating the deepest as far as into the subcutaneous layer. So that's below your skin, kind of into the fat layer. It's scary how deep it goes. So we're learning now that that's also causing signs of aging, discoloration, dullness, and different issues for the skin. And we're going to learn even more, as time progresses. So that's another big one that I always kind of tell people about, is that, that's another big thing to protect yourself from. But we get a lot of people who kind of go, oh, I know now, and I've already done the damage. What can I do? So, understanding even things like cellular pathways that cause pigment, there are multiple ways to address it, but you need to know what the right one is for the patient, what's appropriate for them, and how to prevent it from coming back. So, like, for a long time, a lot of people, everybody loves hydroquinone and tretinoin, right, together. They work beautifully. They're the gold standard for really severe hyperpigmentation. However, I call it the Spider-Man molecule because with great power comes great responsibility. You have to be very careful in how you use it. You can only use it for short-term use. You have to taper off of it. There's ways that you have to use it. So, and you must be using sun protection because you can cause further damage while you're suppressing that pigment pathway. And different products will work on different parts of the pigment pathway. So, for example, in the production of melanin and the overproduction of melanin too, you have tyrosinase, which is an enzyme for tyrosine, and that's a key part of the melanin production. So hydroquinone, that we just talked about, or HQ, is a tyrosinase inhibitor. So it basically says, hold it right there. You're not going any further. So the enzyme doesn't get to do its thing, and so it doesn't allow the conversion and the later steps which lead to that melanin production. So it kind of puts a stop on it. However, if you just jump off of it, what happens? Well, it's like having a kinked up hose and then you suddenly let it go. You'll get what's called a bounce back hyperpigmentation, and often it's worse. It's kind of like yo-yo dieting. It always comes back worse than before. So a lot of times patients will abruptly stop and they'll start a new product and go, this product's shit. This other product doesn't do anything. The other product was great. Well, it's not that. It's that you didn't taper off appropriately. And so now you're getting this bounce back reaction. Doesn't matter what the new product is doing. So we have to do things like a tapering off schedule. That's super important. It's like kind of shifting off slowly. Even beginning new regimens like retinols. Can you jump in with both feet and go nightly every day and go ham? Absolutely, you can. It's not going to be a very fun time. You're going to have some, anticipated reactions, but most people don't want to do that. So we create regimens that taper you in. And, and that's the thing. That's why it's important to have discussions about your lifestyle, your expectations. What have you used? There are patients who become resistant to certain products. Hydroquinone, again, is a great example. There are people who go, this is great, I love it, and use it nonstop. Or they'll get prescriptions illegally online, or they'll find someone to give them a prescription for it, and they'll abuse it for years on end. Resistance is kind of the best case scenario for that. Worst case scenario is something called onchronosis. You actually get a blackening of the skin where it's a really, you'll have to look it up to see what I'm talking about, but it's truly, the skin starts to turn completely black. And that's very, very, very difficult to get rid of. So it's really important to kind of, again, follow the guidelines that are kind of given to you. If you're doing a prescription product like that, knowing how to use it. I'm currently on hydroquinone. I have a couple of surgical scars that need to be faded. They're pretty dark and I don't like them. And so I'm on a hydroquinone regimen. It doesn't quite get necrotic, but it's, bless you, it's not very good looking. So it's onchronosis. I'll put it in the chat. So it's not super duper fun. And again, it's all about following the instructions. Again, it can work really, really well, but you got to follow what's prescribed. Bless you. Some of us are trying to stream here. I'm teasing. Joe's sneezing in the other room. So yeah, and then like I said, there are other things, like there's a lot of important factors. So a lot of times people will go, it's as simple as A and B. So my friend has this problem and she uses this, so therefore that product is going to be fine for me. And it's not that simple. There's a lot of key factors. So I have a patient, she wants to work on her pigment, but she's still working in a COVID unit. She's wearing double masks, N95s. Our plan for her was to, over the fall, winter, do a regimen that had a high potency retinol and some brightening products to really turn over her skin. Right now, her lifestyle doesn't fit that, because if I start turning over her skin and really stimulating it and she gets peely and she's got that heat from the mask that's getting trapped and rubbing on her skin, she's going to be really irritated, and that could actually even bleed or open up. It could be really bad for her. So that doesn't fit her lifestyle right now. So that's on a hiatus. Lifestyle is super important to consider too, because, if you're a mom of 6 kids like Erin is, do you have time to do, 7 or 8 steps in the morning and 7 or 8 steps at night? Do you have time to come in for treatments that are going to put you out for a week or two? You probably don't. Just like with certain types of procedures, are you going to be able to take the time out of work? Are you going to be able to take that downtime? Or does that not fit into your lifestyle and we need to work out a different plan? And maybe it takes a little longer to achieve those goals, but it's going to fit into your lifestyle, because it can be the best procedure, the best product, the best whatever. But if it doesn't work for you in your lifestyle, it really doesn't matter. So that's a big factor. History, tolerance, other conditions you might have. You may not be able to use certain types of products. You may have allergies to certain types of things. Your skin may be reactive to certain types of things. Certain skin tones and ethnicities can be more complex. And so people who fit into like specific types of skin color are one thing, and then you have people like me, which are considered deviated, where technically, yeah, I'm cast with a friendly ghost as far as color is concerned, but you'd never know that I have like African American skin tones in my family, and I have Brazilian, and I have Latin, and I have all these different things. I have what's called a deviated skin type, or a mixed skin type, so it's more complex because it's not just what it is at the surface, right? So knowing what that person, what's their ethnicity, what's their history, those are very important factors. For example, Asian skin types, a lot of the times, and they do range, obviously, there are very dark Indian, like Indian or sub-Indian. Like I have a friend who, she's like subcontinent Indian. She's very dark, right? I have friends who are Korean and very fair. So Asian skin types run the gamut from like a Fitzpatrick 4 to probably a Fitzpatrick 5. it ranges. However, for whatever reason, Asian skin type is very, very prone to post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So like I was talking about, where is it? I have my little darker spots from a couple of pimples I had. They'll eventually go away. But if they get an inflamed spot, if they pick, if they pop, if they do something, if they have a certain type of procedure, their skin has a high risk of getting darker as a result. So there's certain treatment types that just aren't going to be a good fit, or you're going to have to say, hey, look, we can do it, but you're at a higher risk than my average patient would be for these complications. There are other things where, like IPL, like I'm fair enough where I can do an IPL, but I've met people who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to do IPL treatments. And I'm like, you're pretty dark. You're darker than my mom, and my mom is too dark for an IPL. Well, black don't crack. I mean, my best friend, one of my best friends, she'll say it all the time. She is dark, 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 like black Cape Verdean. And she looks fantastic for her age. And she'll say it all the time. And that actually brings up a good point too. So different ethnicities will age in different ways. So Latin and African kind of heritage, which is what I have in my family, tends to be jowly. So when they age, this starts to all kind of hang down. Very like fair Northern European or very white skin tends to age in a way that's more crepey. I have patients all the time who call it crappy skin, and I always have to suppress my chuckle. It's crepiness. It's where it looks like thin, like paper that's like wrinkly, very fragile looking. They tend to get more of that type of aging. So those are things to consider too. You know, the texture of skin on someone who's African American, they might have beautiful smooth texture, but jowling. And so their focus may be to lift. They might not have texture and fine lines and wrinkles that need to be smoothed out. It's a different need entirely. Just as, you know, someone who has really fair skin that's really crepey, they're going to want to really focus on, how do I smooth up this texture? Yes, I need to lift up what's wrinkling, but how do I smooth this out? So all of those things have to kind of be taken into consideration, you know. And the nice thing nowadays too is that there's a lot of treatments that, you know, 10, 20 years ago, you couldn't have done on people who were a Fitzpatrick 4 or higher. So you're darker skin types. You know, my mom is like just about a 3 because she's kind of like mulatto color. Like she's not super dark. She can do most things, but there's a few things she can't do. Nowadays, there are treatments like the one that I perform where it's a non-laser treatment for resurfacing, produces laser-like results, but I can do it on someone who's Norwegian, blonde, blue eyes, or I can do it with someone who is like Nigerian and extremely dark. Is that good?
It's okay.
It's okay. And so there's not going to be the same complications, is essentially the point. It smells good. It smells like, I don't know if it's fruit snacks or what. It doesn't taste very good.
It's coconut water.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I don't like it.
That's why I've been in dire straits since I started drinking.
Oh no, I didn't realize it was coconut water. I'm sorry. I hate coconut water. I think it's so good for you, but I think it's so gross. I think it tastes terrible. Do you have any questions, Meta?
Do I have any questions
for the chat, since you hear me talk about this shit day in and day out? Joe gets to hear about aesthetics far more than he'd like to. He's actually gone to like aesthetic conferences type things and events with me before and dinners, so.
Yeah. Have you addressed acne scarring?
We have not. Want to hang out?
No. I'm printing out documents as we speak. I'm still working.
Okay.
But there you go.
Okay, there's
what
a prompt.
What can I do about acne scarring?
Acne scarring. Very common concern. Good question. Much more fun than a law convention, for sure. Medical people have fun. And we have great dinners and everything gets like comped and it's great. We get to go to the US Open because of a company. I got us in and I took Joe as my date. He had to attend the presentation, but Joe actually asked some really good questions during the presentation. It was cool, you know. So he asked about acne scarring. I love Laffy Taffy, but damn it, it takes so long to chew. And I don't want to give you guys like a mouthful of Laffy Taffy on camera. So with acne scarring, you have things like boxcar scars or ice pick scars. And it's those really like pocked indentations. We see them a lot in the mid face. So you don't tend to see a lot like in the forehead. You'll see sometimes a little bit in the chin, but usually it's kind of right in this part of the face and that really fleshy part. And what'll happen is they'll get a acne lesion, so a pimple. And a lot of times, now some people get it even without touching it. But usually what happens is someone will get, an acne pustule and or a papule and they'll try to pop it and they'll do more harm than good. They get inflammation, it gets irritated, and it will start to scar. And that scar will actually indent into the skin and leave that little notch behind. And I've had friends who have this. I have a lot of patients who have this. I have a patient and it just warms my heart. He came in and he's done a few other treatments. His best friend actually owns a competing med spa, but we won't talk about that. But he comes to us. So that tells you what you need to know, which is the best. But he's like, I have had every which kind of treatment. I've had injections, I've had microneedling, I've had a million different things. I've had lasers. He's like, I've done everything. And I've gotten some improvement, but not a lot. And I talked to him about the treatment that I do, which is a radio frequency fractional plasma. So it's a resurfacing done with basically high energy that we basically supercharge the nitrogen and the oxygen that are in the air, and it almost makes like little lightning strikes into the skin. And we can control the depth and the width and things like that. So we can kind of resurface the skin. So he's had two so far. He's doing two more now in the fall. And I saw him for his follow-up and he's like, I have to tell you, he's like, I had a picture the other day that someone took of me for the first time that I can remember. I didn't go, ugh, delete it. He's like, I actually really am so happy. He's like, I've never had anything help my scars like this has. He's like, obviously I still have some. He's like, but I've never seen anything improve my acne scars like this. So, there are things we can do. The biggest thing is, and it's so hard, right? An ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. If you can avoid popping, squeezing, picking at your skin, right? And it's hard, it's addictive. I love to pop things, for crying out loud. But if you can avoid those things, you can avoid the discoloration, you can avoid the scarring, things like that. Now, if you do already have scarring, or you're someone who, despite never having touched your face, it resulted in a scar, there's things we can do. So yes, there are ablative lasers you can do, and typically you're going to need a few treatments. Now, things like scars usually will take more visits. So I mentioned microneedling earlier. So it's not quite keloiding. It's weird. Hello, hello. Is it Wakita? Welcome, welcome. So keloiding, if you think of like it bumping up and out, with these like ice pick scars and things, it almost sort of dips in. And you get sort of like that pitted texture. I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, you have keloids. Okay. So there are things we can do for keloid scars too. Now, keloids are always a little tougher. There is things like Scar Away, and they make patches and gels, and it's supposed to help quite a bit. We've treated things like surgical scars before, so I actually have a couple keloids myself that I'm going to be treating. Again, from just surgical things. But anything that's a texture thing like that, we can do like microneedling, we can do laser skin resurfacing, we can do plasma resurfacing. There are things like that that we can do. Now, some people will do filler into scars and like to box scars, but that gets really tricky and it can be really difficult. Some people will take a needle or cannula and go under the skin and break up that tissue to release it. Again, not my favorite. It sounds really horrific. I've seen it done. It does not sound fun whatsoever. You can hear the tissue. It's a little gross. So there's definitely things to be done. With keloids too, you can inject them with things like steroids. So I'm from Southeast Massachusetts. How about you? Is it Wakita? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Where are you from? Where are you joining us from? And let me know if you have any questions. So we're doing a skincare chat. My name is Stephanie. I'm one half of Power Couple. And tonight, everybody voted for a skincare chat. Hey, Frostlass. Are you from LA? All right. Very cool, very cool. So you're 3 hours behind me. So it's still nice and early where you are. So yeah, we're doing a skincare chat and I'm answering questions about medical aesthetics, skincare. It's all on the table. I've been in the med-aesthetic industry for 10 years now. It's what I do. It's what I live for. So Feel free to ask away. Frost, last same to you. Welcome, welcome. So we treated a friend of my mother's actually who had done, yeah, see, here we go. There's the disclaimer. I had it copied and pasted just because I'm like, I'm probably going to have to share this again. I am not a physician. I am just someone in the industry, and I have relevant college education. That's a whole other thing. So my mom had a friend who had a tummy tuck. Loved her tummy tuck results, but she had really bad scarring. So it was like a dash and a dot, a dash and a dot, basically from hip to hip. And she was gonna have scar revision done. And scar revision can work, and it also can scar again. And so it's very tricky. So we did microneedling on her. She saw really beautiful results. Now, if you're doing microneedling for something like, anti-aging and collagen induction, you're just kind of doing preventative anti-aging. 4 treatments as a baseline, and then, periodically doing additionals is fine. If you are treating scars, stretch marks, texture, things like that, you're gonna want to do a minimum of at least 6 treatments and probably more. The more aggressive you can go and the more you can tolerate, the better you're gonna do, the better the outcomes usually. But again, we have things like the treatment that I'm performing nowadays, which is sort of the next generation. You can ask questions about me too, absolutely. Yeah, you can totally ask questions about me. Absolutely. What questions do you have? It just happened to be a skincare chat tonight, so. Yeah, so that's not good, Erin. So yeah, you don't want to be too aggressive. You definitely want to go with milder treatments that. And again, right, that's the thing. And I tell patients this too. Some patients are like, I don't want to do a million treatments. I don't care the downtime. I don't care how aggressive. I don't care how I just want it done fast. And that's one approach. And then there's patients who are like, my husband can't know, and I don't want anyone knowing I'm doing this. I don't care how many treatments it takes. Let's go slow and steady. Does hair removal fall under skincare? Yes, it does. It's in the metaesthetic industry. We do it at my work. Absolutely. And actually, it can't be called permanent hair removal. It's hair reduction. That's a big technicality. A lot of people will call it permanent hair removal, but it actually is not. So, a key to asking the question that I hate the most. I'm just kidding. I always joke and say I'm 85, but it's because I use good skincare that I look like this. I am 25 with experience. I am about to be turning 32 in December, so I'll be 32 on December 13th. No, my gosh, you don't have to be sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yes, I am. I will be 32 soon. I'm still 31 and clinging on to it. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about hair removal. What can it do? What can't it do? You like that though, right? You'll be like, how old are you? I'm like 25 with the experience. I have a lot of years of experience of being 25. So, yeah, it works. But yeah, a lot of times I'm like, I'm actually 84, but I look really good for my age. It's all the Botox. So, hair removal. What's my horoscope? I am a Sagittarius. And fun fact, Taylor Swift and I have the exact same birthday. She is 3 hours older than I am. And I keep trying to get her to recognize it, but it's okay. She's my long lost, taller, richer, more talented sister. So what are you gonna do? But yes, I am a Sagittarius. December 13th, 1989. Yeah. Fiery Sagittarius. I am a true Sagittarius. My brother was born 2 days before me, but he was 5 weeks preemie. I swear to God, he is such a Capricorn. He is not a Sagittarius in the slightest. But anyway, that's an aside. So to answer Frostlass's question, so do you have particular questions actually about hair removal? I'll start talking about it in general, but let me know what questions you have about hair removal in the meantime. So there is a big gamut of devices and laser types and things like that. I kind of talk about it like cars, right? Like a Honda and a Maserati, they're both cars, but they're not going to drive the same way, right? They're going to be very different experiences. And lasers are like that. There are some really shitty lasers out there that don't do a heck of a lot, or they take a ton of treatments. For a long time, it was kind of the if it's painless, it doesn't work. We're starting to move into technologies that are less uncomfortable but more effective. But there are certain laser types that are going to be a little bit more effective for these types of things. Okay, so electrolysis versus laser. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Akita. Much appreciated. So laser and electrolysis work in different ways. Now, laser will not work on naturally red hair, naturally gray, or naturally blonde. You like my character? Well, thank you. Do not be sorry about having questions. That's how we learn things in life. Ask questions. Be curious. Don't apologize for that. So, electrolysis is going to work by. I don't want to scare you off of it. I have heard it's very uncomfortable. It takes a very long time to do electrolysis. So we talked earlier about the follicle, right, being where we get a clog for a pimple, but it's also where the hair comes out. It's that little pore in the skin. Aw, thanks. Thank you for saying I'm easy to talk to. I talk a lot, so I always joke that I was completely bilingual by 16 months, and I haven't shut up since. So with electrolysis, you have that hair follicle. Oh, this is going to look really dirty. I'm not going to do it that way. Rewind and revamp. You have that hair follicle. They take the electrology needle, they put it into that little follicle, and they will emit a small electrical charge that is going to basically disrupt and disturb that follicle and kind of kill it off. Yes, I do have an Instagram. I actually have 5 of them. That's not a joke. My professional one for skincare, I will post it in the chat. It is Skin Science with Steph. I always tell people you are free to DM me. You are free to ask me questions there. I'm more than happy. There are some funny TikToks on there. All kinds of fun stuff. So there's my pro Insta that I'm growing right now. So that electrolysis is going to get in there. It's going to zap that follicle. It's going to damage that follicle. And oh, well, thank you so much. There's a really funny reel on there recently, got like almost 11,000 views of me basically getting hit in the face with shaving cream just to prove my love of retinol. So thank you. I hope you enjoy. So that electrical damage to that follicle, each time you have a treatment, it's going to further damage it so it'll start producing a thinner, finer hair each time until eventually the follicle is damaged enough to not produce a hair again. And your hair grows in different phases. It's not just a consistent linear type of thing. So it has to be in that anaphase, that growth state, to have the maximal effect, especially with lasers. So with electrology with lasers, that's why you're going multiple times. You need to keep re-damaging that follicle to kind of interfere with the hair growth. And also, they're going to be growing in at different times. Now, I've had people that I've known who loved electrology back when it was the only option, and it's been really long-term permanent for them. Of course, hormonally, things can change and can create new hairs. So a lot of times people will go through menopause or pregnancy or other kinds of health changes and their hairs will come back. My favorite color, Wakita's asking. Oh, I feel like that changes all the time. I'd say one of my favorites is pink. It never used to be when I was younger. I can tell you my least favorite colors are yellow and orange. Those are my 2 least favorite. But pink is probably one of my favorites. Yeah, like rose gold and pink, like everything for me at home and at work. So Frost was saying, I read a lot about it. That's why I'm scared. Also, pretty much anyone here can do that. No need for special training or education. Any beautician can offer it. And that's an important point that you bring up. So state to state, there are a lot of ranges of how lax or strict they are for certain treatments. So, for example, in Massachusetts, a registered nurse can no longer perform microneedling treatments, even though they used to be able to. However, an acupuncturist can, even though it is completely unrelated. But if you go down to Texas, an esthetician can perform Botox, which should not be okay because they don't have the medical training for it. So there's a big, scary range of who can do what. And so our offices, we have one in Rhode Island and one in Massachusetts. They're 40 minutes apart, and I live with different staff that can do different things. Do I have a pet? Yes, he has an Instagram too. He is Coops McCorgy. Yes, it is Skin Science with Steph. What did I say earlier? Oh my God, Skin Stuff with Steph because I cannot type apparently. So Attorney Joe is my better half. He's in the other room doing work. Cooper, come here, baby. The people want to see. Come here. That is actually his photo. Good boy. Hype. I've got your bone. Come here. Come here. Come here. Ah, the daddy's gonna get you. All right, Joe is gonna bring him onto the screen so you can see my pet. He is very cute. So yeah, process. I would say try it out. You know, do a lot of research as to who's in your area. Talk to people who have had it before. You know, contact them. Ask them a lot of questions. So this is my baby boy. This is Cooper. He's 7.5. I'm looking fabulous, what I say. I love you. I'll get a kiss, please. I'm not good at kiss. Oh, I got booped. Oh, that's a big yawn. So this is my baby boy. Our baby boy. I love him very much. He's my baby. You got a boob, my son. It's on the other thumb, but he doesn't know. He's so lucky. Oh, thank you. And then this is his daddy behind here. This is Joe, my better half. Ronan, welcome. Cooper, is there anything you want to say to the people?
I'm just hanging out.
He's hanging out. You look so tall. You're not used to being this tall. Huh. We actually threw him a corgi birthday party. Oh, big Cooper stretch. Cooper will just stretch. I'll tell him how I'll go big stretch, and then sometimes he'll go aroo. Oh, but yes, his birthday is in January, and we threw him a live stream corgi birthday party last year where he did tricks, he got treats, he got costumes, he got to open presents. We've done some fun corgi streams where we play with him too, and he does things like solve puzzles and do tricks for the internet, which everyone loves. Oh, Coops. Oh, I have your bone. You want this? Oh, thanks. Usually we have our Cooper cam set up, I can't talk. Set up as well so you guys can see him. It is not currently set up because we had to move some things in the stream room.
Does it mean it's currently being used for virtual court hearings?
Yes, it is being used for virtual court hearings. It's in the other room. So there's that. Oh no! Are there any songs about skincare?
Any songs about skincare?
I'm in sing mode.
Technically, I mean, you could try to, not skincare, but skin.
Okay, there, Jeffrey Dahmer. Where exactly are you going with this?
Is there a Instapot that could, work for a family of 4?
What size crock pot for a family of 4? Okay, Jeffrey Dahmer, calm down. I don't know. You don't like where this is going. So we don't broadcast every day, but we usually are on 4 times a week. Our schedule's been super, super crazy, so I'm usually on Wednesday nights.
We've only been doing 1 day a week because I've been out of my mind crazy.
Joe has been working like probably 60 hours a week or more lately. Are you thinking of BTS? I don't know past like Smooth Like Butter. That's like the only part I know. I don't know any of the rest of that song. Yes, we could do a doggo treat redemption. We're gonna have to put a limit on it because he is on a diet and his vet wants him to lose some weight because he's a little bit overweight because we feed him like filet mignon and lobster and puff pastry and corgi croissants and everything else. So he's been eating green beans lately and he likes them. It's very healthy.
We're talking about the dog still, not me.
Yeah. They both eat pretty well. So actually, Wakita, I actually did too recently a cooking stream, and we made pasta carbonara live on stream, and then I lost all the footage because I forgot to upload it to YouTube, and then Twitch deleted it, and I was really, really sad because it was my first ever cooking show. That was really sad. The dog does eat better than most people. He's a little bit spoiled, but anyway. Ronan, how you doing tonight? Haven't seen you in a little bit. We've been MIA, but yeah. So, Wakita, usually we normally are Monday, Wednesday, Friday night, and then Sunday morning. And right now it's just Wednesdays. I know that was a really fun stream. Eventually, if we can get a bigger kitchen, we will do that once in a while. You got a burger and he's rocking a filet mignon.
He
so
does.
One time, this is not a joke. Joe had gone to the store. I had asked him, I said, let's do something special. Let's do filet mignon, right? I asked him to go to the store for it. He comes back with like 1.5 pounds. Damn, that's a lot of filet. And I open, I'm like, why are there 3 fillets? He goes, the dog had a really hard day. My dad and my brother were fighting, and he didn't like it. He was scared, so I got him one too. I'm like, You bought the dog a filet. And this is when he was still in law school, so it's not like he was balling or anything. He gets better birthdays than you. Aw. Yours is on Friday? Well, happy birthday early, Queen Frostlass. What kind of board games do you like? I love board games. Joe does not like playing board games with me.
I'm okay with that. I mean, like playing board games with you. But...
I get I'm kind of a pain in the ass to play Monopoly with. My dad's worse than me though. But what are you gonna do? So it's funny. So Aaron had redeemed Sing Mode, and I was talking about, are there any songs about skincare? So I remember, and do you ever have something like stupid you did during childhood, or like just silly that you remember like very vividly? This is gonna be the stupidest thing ever. This is like the stupidest story. I was probably like 5, maybe 6. This was when my dad was now he was dating his at the time girlfriend, who is now his second ex-wife. But she had a bottle of oil of Olay something in the shower, and I was like probably 5, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm singing about like, I'm like, oil of Olay, boil of Olay, soil of Soleil, and like it just literally made an entire song in the shower. It was the stupidest thing, but it stuck with me all these years, and Joe's giving me funny looks. But anyway, a little embarrassing. You like Euro games, heavy stuff, deck, pool builders. Okay, cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, so if you're new here, we're variety streamers. So I know Frostus has been with us before, but you know, Wakita, I think you're new here. So we do variety streams. So like a lot of times Sunday mornings are Pokemon battles with Joe, and we do viewer battles where you guys get to play with him. Oh no, please go to college. Go to college. What are you studying for?
I forget. I forget whether or not if Queen Frostlass is German.
Where are you from, Queen Frostlass?
I believe
Remind us.
Germany. So alles Gute zum Geburtstag, if it
Bless
is,
you.
if I'm correct.
Where are you from, Queen Frostlass? Because if it's not Germany, well, it is Germany.
I remember.
The man cannot remember shit.
But I remember
Months
you
later
guys.
remembers you're from Germany. He like, it's so funny because we've had like conversations at home where he remembers so much about like you guys, like, you know, your IRL names, where you're from, if you're married, what are your kids' names, like what are you into? Like he remembers a lot about you guys. But like I asked him to pull out the trash the other day, he walked into the kitchen, got a drink, and walked back out, and I was like, trash, and he's like, oh my god, I forgot, like that quickly. So it's just
man hearing.
It's also supposed to be bad luck to wish a happy birthday early. Well, then we take it back. I'll tell you next week. So yeah, Wakita, though, what are you studying for? Don't skip school. School's important. I know that's a nerd thing of me to say, but I skipped a lot of school, high school, like senior year, but then like in college it was pretty good. Communications and electronics engineering. Very cool. Joe was a process engineer for a while. He originally was a music major, but well. It's funny. So he was a music education major and then became an attorney. And my friend's son was pre-law and is now in music. So they switched. It's just a weird thing. Germans say, hey, listen, Brazilians are known for like weird superstitions and stuff. So you're good. You are so good. I wonder what this is with my uncle though, because he was a Brazilian living in Germany for so long. So anyway, we can keep doing just chatting like this if you guys want. If you want to go back to skincare, we can. If you want to just chit chat. Do we have a son? Yes, the one you just saw on camera.
He's furry.
He's a floofy 7.5-year-old. That's our chubby boy.
He's a dog.
He is a dog. He's a corgi. He's a full corgi, but that is our only child right now. So we were supposed to get married in April. We're getting married next April now. And then after the wedding and after the be trying for a power BB. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Why? Oh no! It's okay. That's all right. It's because it's because you forgot to invite me. We didn't forget. We just didn't mail out any invitation. I actually still have to pick out our invitations. Also, my bridal party keeps going like, oh, so have you picked out a dress yet for us? Or like, have you decided? And I'm like, no, I should probably get on that. And then my best friend texted me that day. She's like, so I'm bridesmaids dress shopping with my other friend who's getting married around the same time as you because she's realizing it could take like 5 or 6 months. And I'm like, I got everything else is planned because we have a wedding. But yeah, nope, no kids yet other than Cooper. I would love to get another corgi. I'd like to get a little girl if we can. And I would love a fluffy corgi. They're kind of considered like the breed reject. They're not supposed to be fluffy, but they're really, really cute. And they're extra fluffy. Although corgi is shed like crazy. Who is he? Didn't you see him on screen? Did you miss him? Yeah.
Yeah, they showed Cooper.
Where's my Coopster?
Emotes.
No, not orange.
All the oranges.
I do that all the time because it moves. The pipe. No. I type orange apparently. This guy. So Joe actually took photos of Cooper and turned them into cute emotes. So we actually have good boy hype and a WTF. Those are our, and those are those tier 1 emotes or two, three? I forget.
There's some type of tier.
I forget what tier, but if you're a subscriber, you are able to unlock different emotes. So we have a couple of different ones. Ta-da! They're tier 1, okay. So everybody gets the good boys. This one at Joe, it's like was it Creepy Joe? Evil Joe?
Evil Joe.
Evil Joe. I don't remember. I think, did you just like take that for funsies and then like ended up like playing and like editing it or something? It was like so long ago now.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 years.
Wow.
I don't even remember when exactly it was we started streaming. I know it's on our Instagram, but I don't actually remember. And we did like how could you be a mod? So you'd have to stick around for the channel for a while. Basically we have a couple of mods on our channel right now, and it's just because we've had long-term relationships. We only have one.
Yeah, me.
No.
Yeah.
Did we take away the other ones?
Yeah.
Am I still a mod?
Maybe. You might be.
I might not even be a mod on my own channel anymore.
I think we're mods.
Yeah, I was gonna
on
say.
our own accounts, but Streamer Dreamer backed away, and
Yeah,
so
that's true.
did Realms. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so Frost is saying it's a bit weird to ask as a woman, but currently how I deal with my facial hair is shaving, but my skin tends to get really irritated from that. Can you recommend something to deal with it? There aren't a lot of products for women for that. So that's actually a great question. I actually had a friend who she used to get like a full beard, mustache, and even like her neck and her chest, and she was always really embarrassed by it. So it can be a really difficult thing for women. If the hair is dark, so when I say dark, even if it's like a light brown, it just can't be blonde, red, or gray. If you can afford laser and it's something that is okay, if you have a condition that your doctor clears it, that's a great option because it's going to get rid of it under the skin and the hairs fall out and it really avoids irritation. I would say that for the shaving, make sure your skin is, like steam it or soak it first, like if you want to do it in the shower. Let that skin soften up a little bit. Do a gentle exfoliation beforehand. Using a clean razor every single time and an emollient shave cream will help a lot. Waxing may also be an option, not the most fun, but waxing can also help quite a bit. It will last about 4 weeks typically, and it will leave you really, really smooth. And they will typically apply something afterwards to kind of calm the skin. There's a product called Tend Skin. I have not tried it myself personally, but I know a lot of people in the industry like it, and a lot of people online will talk about it. It's a little pricey. It's like 20 something dollars, I think, a bottle. But that is also supposed to help post shaving, post waxing, post laser to really calm that skin down. But I'd say waxing would be probably one of your better options. So Bakita's asking, what is your favorite perfume? That is a very difficult question. I used to actually work in fragrance many years ago. I actually just got a new one in today. I got one to test. It's
We're wearing it.
No, you're wearing one, I'm wearing the other. So I got a new one in today. It's Coach Floral. It's so I don't love it on me. And then I was sent Tom Ford's Costa Azzurra, which is like a unisex one. I didn't like it on me. It smells really good on Joe though.
You know what my go-to
Aqua de Joe.
Yeah,
I know, because it smells really good on you. So my favorite like expensive that I like. I use it only on very particular occasions because it's really expensive. They don't even make the original formula anymore. It's Prada Infusions. I lusted after it for so long. I actually looked at it when I was in Germany and France. I looked at it at different department stores, and finally someone gifted it to me. And I will wear like one spray on like very special occasions. And my best friend associates it with me because we'll hang out and she'll go, "Are you wearing Prada?" And I'm like, "That's my scent." Um, the fragrance, that one that's very special to my heart, I wore on my first date with Joe.
Oh.
And I'm gonna wear it on our wedding day. Is discontinued, unfortunately, so I don't wear it that often except for special occasions. I wore it for engagement photos, and I wore it for my bridal shower. It is Marc Jacobs Mod Noir. I really like that one. If I want to have like a dark, sexy vibe, I love YSL's Black Opium. For a long time, I really loved Calvin Klein Eternity, but that was such like a basic like 90s 2000 bitch perfume for me. So yeah, those are some favorites. I have a few others too. What's the one I have from Fresh? It smells like grapefruit. It's like very grapefruity, but I can't remember what it's called, but it's really, really good. I tend to like bright and citrusy scents, but then I also tend to like things that are like very deep. I actually do speak other languages. So I'm going to answer I'm going to answer Queen Frostlass really quickly first. So she said she did waxing for a while and it hurts like crazy for a very short time, but the facial hair got too thick to do that anymore. So laser might be a good option. Actually, the other thing too is depilatory creams. Have you tried any of those? So like a Veet or a Nair, they do make facial formulas for those. And it will actually, you can wipe the hairs right off. You may have to do it a little bit more often. Your skin might get a little sensitive, but it should avoid some of the pain and irritation. That might be a good option.
Speaking of waxing.
Oh, no, we're not telling that on stream, are we?
No, not the story. What did we do recently?
Oh, I got to wax Joe's nose hairs and I love it. He was like out for like, I don't even know. I don't know if I was away or you were, I don't know what it was. And he texted me, he was like, I was thinking like maybe you could wax my nose again sometime. And I literally went, oh. So I waxed his nose hairs. And I had it in his nose and I grabbed onto it and I didn't count. I just went, yank. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, you didn't even give me a warning. I was like, yeah, but then you couldn't pull away. I'm so mean, but it was so funny. There was so many like nose. It was like a bad nose for a lollipop. So Akita's asking, do I speak any other languages other than English? Sí, yo falo portugués y yo también hablo un chiquito de español. Je parle un peu de français. So I am fluent in Brazilian Portuguese because I am half Brazilian, despite my not very Brazilian complexion. Spanish I am self-taught because we have a lot of Spanish-speaking clientele at work, so I know a little bit, but I call it Sportuguese. So you're familiar with Spanglish, right? It's like English with some Spanish in there. I speak Sportuguese, so it's like Spanish with mostly Portuguese influence. And then I took 5 years of French, and I actually used to be very fluent in French. I could actually read and write in French better than I could in Portuguese because I learned Portuguese orally. But use it or lose it, and I don't use my French very often. And actually, I am in the process of applying for a job with the FBI as an independent contractor as a Brazilian Portuguese linguist. So I'm in the process of doing that, but that takes like a year and a half to even get to that point. So I'm in the process though. But yes, I do speak other languages. Actually, every once in a while we get Mazillions on here. They pop on and they're like, I don't speak in English. And I'm like, that's not a problem. I got you, fam. Joe does a little bit.
No, I just speak English.
I mean, he understands a little bit of Portuguese.
A little bit.
And he picks up a little bit here and there.
Yeah, a little bit here.
But he'll be like, oh, no, follow. Like, I don't speak.
Oh.
Oh, no, follow.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar? And I don't know what his username is. I have to look it up. There's a guy, he's on TikTok and he's on Instagram. But he does like the universal language and then he like talks to the other languages. And there's one with French where he's like,
yeah, they have that.
He's like, you know, water's really important. Like, we need a word for that. And he's like, and he's like, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, and how do you spell that? And he's like, E-A-U, and he's like, so all the other vowels except for O, like, and it's just funny. But yes, ver. It is a good one. But yeah, so anyway, back to Queen Frostless. So I would definitely try to find like a Veet or Nair or some kind of depilatory cream as an option that might be less uncomfortable, slightly more permanent than shaving. Like it'll give you a little bit of a longer time frame. But a nice gentle exfoliant will.
Oops.
Did you just give me kid in a snowstorm? Seriously?
Yeah, I just gave you kid in a snowstorm.
We have a big screen above the stream station, and it had like turned off, and so Joe was turning it back on, but it gave us like the shh channel. But there's a lot of hand movements. It's my Italian that I apparently don't even have. Yeah,
Brazilian you don't have either.
We did ancestry. That's a whole other
ruined our lives
subject. So I'll give you guys. I say it's a funny story, but it is like not a funny story at all. I was very temporarily kidnapped as a child, like at 16 months. And my mom got me back, but my mom and I do not look alike. Some people say we have the same cheekbones. We don't look alike though. So it's always been kind of a joke with her that I'm like, is that the story you tell me so that I'll believe that I'm yours? And she's like, haha, right? So then did my DNA and I can trace my family back for generations on my mom's side. And the other day I was like, I have to ask you a question. I'm like, you need to answer me truthfully. She's like, that depends on the question. I was like, did you kidnap me? She's like, yeah, you caught me. Frost was saying, my boyfriend's from Ukraine, he speaks Russian. Russian is supposed to be very difficult. The only way we talk is in English, so we are both in the situation where one of us really needs to learn a hard language. English is very, very, very difficult, and I think English native speakers don't realize quite how difficult English is. For one thing, it's more exceptions than rules, I swear. But a lot of the phonemes can be really difficult. Even though it's a Germanic descended language, it can be very difficult, and there's a lot of influences from other places. Russian has a lot of verb conjugation from what I've heard, and I've been told that if you don't already speak Russian, don't bother trying to learn. Either he needs to learn German or you need to. He should learn German.
I was gonna say he should probably learn German.
Between the two, learning the Cyrillic characters, and I've heard like the verb conjugation is a nightmare. And I've actually had people who are Russian tell me, "Don't bother. Like if you don't already speak Russian, don't bother. It's
and
really."
if he already knows English, then it's not too far.
Yeah, German will be easier to learn from English than Russian would be. I made the mistake in high school of taking Latin at the same time as French, and I already spoke Portuguese, and it was just a mess. So just one language at a time is I think the best bet. But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, so my mom, we kind of joked about it, but I just happened, so my DNA came back more Portuguese than anything, and I think it's because obviously the Portuguese colonized parts of Brazil, but I supposedly have like indigenous Brazilian in me, but it came back as like Yucatan Peninsula. I'm also 8% African. I have Norwegian, Swedish, and
was
something
it 8%
else.
African, or was it like 8 plus another African country?
No,
was that
no.
two together?
It was 2, 2, 2, and 2. Because
Gotcha.
it was like 2% North Africa, like Tunisia, 2% like West African, 2% was Bantu, and 2% was somewhere else. So I have like different parts of Africa, but I knew that I had some African roots. And again, I always joke, I'm like, yeah, well, despite my very dark complexion here, I do have African in me. And people are always like, yeah, okay. And I've known that. I didn't know where from. I never kind of knew that much. But I had some French and Spanish in me, which my mom always said I didn't have French, but it's actually from my dad's side a little bit. So my whole life I've talked about being, British. I have 12% of England and 2% from Wales. So I told Cooper we're actually related. He's actually my kid now. So it's just been a really interesting journey. And actually, so one of my distant relatives, has added like 3 or 4,000 people to his genealogy, and it was funny because Joe was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. My Italian's not in there. My Brazilian's not in there. My native Brazilian's not, like, none of it's there. And I was like, and the worst insult of all, no royalty, right?
Just a commoner.
But then I actually do have like way back. This guy is, I think he hired somebody to do it because there's like historical documents, like there's like baptism records, death records, birth records, wedding records from like the 13 and 1400s that have been scanned in. So I think he hired somebody. Either that or he's really retired.
The damn Brits, man, they have all the records.
It's not the Brits. This is the Portuguese.
It's
Yeah. I have very little. Actually, I have a little bit. So I can go back to the mid 1500s with my English side. So my 10th great grandfather, is it John Tripp? I think it's John Tripp. Came from Skirkbeck, Lincolnshire, England.
Bless you.
You will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't right now. But he came over with his son and ended up in Portsmouth, Rhode Island in the late 1500s. And they actually both died the same day. So I don't know if there was some kind of a freak accident or a fire or an illness or I don't know what. So that was kind of weird.
Hugo High.
Right.
Wasn't he like super old too at that time?
The son was like 60 something and the father was like 80 something.
Was there one that was like 100?
I did have someone who was like over 100 years old. I've had a couple. There's a lot of longevity on my mom's side that I knew of. I never knew a lot about my father's side, and now I'm finding out that there's actually, for the most part, pretty good longevity on that side. So
you know why he lived so long?
no cabra.
Because he wasn't eating Laffy Taffy with nerds in it. That's all right. I ate one, so I'm going down with you. That's okay.
So the
he was
phrase
probably too busy smoking like 2 packs a day and drinking, and
maybe
lived to be 100
can't smoke 2 packs when they didn't even have packs back then.
Yeah,
you roll your own. Or at least I have some and you don't.
I have my coconut water.
That's right. So the phrase I use in Portuguese, it's bad vases don't break is the phrase. But it's kind of like only the good die young kind of thing. That's why anyway.
Yeah.
Truth. You know what's funny? Sometimes Joe will say things and I'll be like, is that what you want on your gravestone? And he'll be like, no. I wouldn't kill you. I'd make you live with me and suffer. It's much worse. It's much worse. But anyway. Anybody got questions? Any other questions for me? Questions for Joe? Questions about skin? Questions about life? Questions about corgis? And whatever you want. Welcome back, Wakita.
So, question for you.
Question for me?
Yeah.
I've already said yes.
No, not that one.
Actually, for those who are new, isn't it pretty?
It's pretty.
Oh, it's hard to see on the camera. Why is it so hard to see? There we go.
That's okay.
Also, I'll have my nails did right now. I had to go to a charity thing the other day and it matched my dress. All right, what's your question for me?
Skincare question.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I don't know. Are we done with the skincare part?
Just threw me off.
All right, fine.
No
skincare. No skincare.
Give it.
Give.
Coots. He's like, heard about your scritches, Mom.
Okay.
What's your skincare question?
Skincare question is eczema.
Eczema. I should have known.
What do we do about eczema?
So eczema is so hard. So the problem with a lot of dermatological conditions is that they're not transient, right? It's not like having a cold where it goes away. A lot of them are really kind of illnesses. So things like eczema tend to be long-standing. You don't like my ring? I love my ring.
You know why they didn't like the ring, right?
Why?
Because they didn't give it to you.
Oh, I love my ring. So it's hard to see on camera, but gosh, can't get it to focus. Anyway, I love my ring. So I'm very subtle. So Joe knew exactly what I wanted and he designed my ring and I love it. He picked the diamond and everything and designed it with my jeweler and I love it. But thank you. My nails are $8 press-ons from CVS. So the ring is not quite that cheap. So eczema was the question. So there are a lot of different kinds of eczema. For example, I have eczema inside my ear canals, which is the most infuriating type if you ask me, because my ears flake and weep and get really itchy. You've probably seen me kind of go like one of these a couple times. It's because when the seasons are changing, my ears get so itchy. Joe has a type of eczema on his feet called dyshydrotic eczema, which gives like little bitty bubbles. Tends to happen on the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. There are treatments that can help, and there are usually it's home care. So home care tends to be the biggest thing for most types of skincare, because you have to be consistent and keep up with it, because the conditions don't just resolve themselves. You have to kind of keep going with them. So do you remember earlier I talked about having to stay on regimens for like 6 to 10 weeks to start seeing a change? And that a lot of people will just give up after a couple weeks.
Yeah, sounds about right. That's me.
He's like, the treatment you gave me didn't work. I'm like, you didn't use it for more than a week.
Yeah.
He only would use it when I put it on. So
bitches use
bitches use it for a week. It's like
just for a couple of days and then they give up. It's me. It's
I'm
me.
bitches.
I'm bitches. Yeah.
So no, I think you're close. That drives it along. I mean, you're close. If you're not right, it's close, because you're good. So we've done things like cortisones and things like that, and I actually had I love listening to Doctor Radio. If you're ever on Sirius XM, it's channel 110, or the app. Not sponsored, just really love it. But on the dermatology show with Dr. Doris Day, they actually had a couple questions and stuff. So dyshydrotic eczema had come up, and coal tar, or as Jill likes to say,
Sultan.
coal tar solution can actually be used for it. But you have to be very, very careful with it. So we actually got some, and I made him stuff, and he doesn't really use it that often. That's okay. I'm not mad. So you're not supposed to pick, pop, or anything like that, because they can get infected. And so, of course, what Joe does is find the nearest pointy object, stab them, and poke them, because it feels good. So,
attorney, I am not a doctor.
which brings me back to something. So we talked about like, don't pick your pimples, don't pop things, and I was like, I love to do those things, but it's not good for you. It can cause issues. I can't say much, because my ear eczema drives me insane. Like, so itchy, insane, that I actually like have a thing I use, and it's metal, and I like clean out my ears with it, and it's really bad, and I over clean my ears, and I will put hot water in my ears sometimes, which is the worst thing you can do. First off, don't put hot water in your ears. Don't do hot water at all. But yes, it's good. And so this whole thing recently was like, you're not supposed to put Q-tips in your ears, and it's like, then why is there a feel good button in there? Oh, I knew a girl who was worse than me. She used to sleep with Q-tips under her pillow. It was crazy. Thank you, Queen Frostlass. I love my ring. You're not a fan of jewelry? Honestly, some people do tattoos. Some people do different kinds of things. There's no one right way to celebrate love. You can do whatever works for you guys. And for me, it was a pear-shaped diamond on white gold, because bitches.
That's what you wanted.
That's what I wanted.
That's what you wanted.
And it was funny, because I was like, yeah, I really don't like yellow gold. It just doesn't look good with my skin. And I really like white gold, and I hate princess cut diamonds, and I really love pear-shaped diamonds, and
whatever that alternative is for you and your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Frostlass, honestly, as long as it's important to you, that's all that matters.
And that's the key thing. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's symbolic of your love, and it only needs to make sense to you guys.
I had a refinance today with the couple. They both had tattoos on
That's
their
what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just mentioned tattoos.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a fun fact, I guess, about Brazilians. So when you're engaged in Brazil, it's actually, so you wear your engagement ring on your right hand, and then when you get married, my right ring finger is skinnier than my left one.
Actually, I think Wakito wants to see your ring one more time. Could you put it up to the
I
camera
didn't
one more
see
time?
that.
No, I'm just being
It's not focusing.
Come at me, bro.
Focus. So I need to clean it. Hold on. Why?
It's nice. That's real nice.
If I give it like a different background, is it gonna work? There we go.
Hey.
It's honestly it's exceptionally shiny when it's clean. I don't think it's clean right now, but let's just see. Woo.
That's like one of your favorite things after you wash it.
Oh, every time I watch it, I'm like, look how shiny it is. It makes rainbows. Especially like when it's still wet. Oh my gosh. Also, if you have jewelry, the best way to clean it, Dawn dish soap. Swear to God, Dawn
If
dish
it
soap.
works for ducks, if for your
That's right.
jewelry.
No, honestly, if you wash your jewelry with Dawn dish soap, it comes out sparkling. It's so good. Ultrasonic cleaners can loosen stones. I do use Dazzle Drops, which is like everybody's mom had like the connoisseur's jewelry like red jar, right? My mom still does. I think your mom did. Always in the bathroom. It was like, it's like a mom like, and I was always like, where do moms get these? Because they don't exist anywhere. But moms always have the connoisseur's red jar for their jewelry. And I was like, when we got engaged, I was like, do I just get gifted one now? Like, where do they come from? Like, it's just like it's like having a casserole dish. Like, nobody buys one. Suddenly, you just have them.
It actually just comes with the care package once you have a child.
The casserole dish.
Because once you are a mom, now you gotta have.
You have to have it. So Dazzle Drops is like the new gen version of it. So it's basically it's a clear jar. It comes with the drops. It comes with a brush. It comes with a dipping tray.
You know,
but you make fresh solution every time. Usually at the jeweler.
It was at the jeweler. Yeah, like we would go.
They have it at Target too now. But yes,
and you'd go to the mall.
They have them lined up
you'd
on the
have
counter.
Like sales or K jewelers.
Yep.
And they would have those
like lined up on top
to buy.
Yeah.
Or sometimes if you bought something, they would give it to you.
As an adult, I realized that. But then when I like needed it, I was like, I don't know where to go. But so the Dazzle Drops, they also make a pen version. But it gives you clean solution every time. But right after I clean it and I rinse it, I'm like, ooh, look, it's so shiny. And I'll go like this to Joan. I'm like, look. I have the strongest ring finger because I just go like this.
It's so shiny.
Anybody here seen Moana? Anyone here a Disney freak like I am? That's another question. So when Joe and I started dating, it was November. And I realized he had not seen basically like any movies. And I asked him if he had seen Hocus Pocus and he hadn't. And he's like, oh, we can watch together. And I'm like, you're going to have to wait till next year. Like, you're going to have to wait till October.
Children.
Yeah. It's We Desire Children.
We Desire Children. Okay.
Like, might take me a couple tries, but I'll see what I can do. But I made him watch it. But I made him wait a year to watch it. So I kept him too. But Joe had not watched a lot of movies. He'd watched Forrest Gump about 200 times, but he'd not watched a lot of other movies. And so I gave him a moviecation and I've made him watch a lot of things. Your husband thinks you're his favorite Disney villain. So what do I say all the time, babe? You want me to be the bad guy? Fine. Now I'm the bad guy. It's a Mother Gothel quote if you haven't seen Tangled. Tangled, that's your favorite one.
No, I know. I don't really do quotes that good.
It says the shirt on your Amazon list. Yeah, I know you're not great at the quotes, but well, sometimes you do. Sometimes you know some of them. Some of them. I made him watch Emperor's New Groove the other day. He actually really liked that one. We've made him watch a few.
Why is Pastor David Spade?
That was at the wedding.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I didn't even realize it till you said it that day. But if you guys like Disney movies, drop your favorite one in the chat. Your favorite's The Lion King, Crosslas? It is really good. Okay, it's been stuck in my head today, so it just feels appropriate. But have you seen the TikTok where it's it's like the intro song, but it's like, I need a sugar daddy to come pay my bills. It's been stuck in my head all day. But actually, the intro to that in Swahili means hark, a king is born. So the Asavenya, Babagichi Baba, whatever it is, that means hark, a king is born in Swahili. Very good movie. I have not watched the new like live action one, but I do like Lion King. Who was it that I said it to the other day and I was like, what's the motto? Nothing. What's the motto with you? It is a very good movie. Lion King is a good one. So not knowing he hadn't seen Aladdin, Joe watched the live action version with me because I hadn't seen it yet. So I was like, oh, let's watch it. So we watched it. And I was like, oh, what did you think compared to the original? He's like, I haven't seen it. I was like, you can leave my house now. Like, what do you mean? So we watched it and literally, and then I'm the most annoying person in the world, right? Because I'm in the kitchen making popcorn and I'm like, 10,000 years will give you such a crook in the neck. And he's got no clue what I'm talking about. But anyway, Up is very good, but Up in the first few minutes makes you feel so many feels and so many sads. And it's literally making me get a little misty right now. I'm just going to give myself a second here.
Yeah. I like Will Smith as the genie.
You also, so
I-
Joe liked the ending of the live action better, and I'll let him speak for himself.
No, there's not much to say. Obviously, I prefer, Robin Williams as Genie over Will Smith, but I kind of enjoyed Will Smith's take on Genie. In West Agrabah, born and raised in a magic oil lamp is where I spent most of my days. This is what I'm waiting for.
It's the Sega Genesis, I think, that you played Aladdin on, because I think I literally remember that game, and I had the Lion King game too. That's another.
Yeah.
But you liked Jasmine's
I like
becoming
Jasmine
the Sultan.
becoming the Sultaness at the end of the
Still
movie.
Sultan, I think.
I like that they gave her more than
Her
just
autonomy.
being nothing more than just the love interest of the male character that's there, that she had her own independence, her own desires, and things that she wanted to accomplish, and they allowed her to do that.
As a kid, that movie gave me very unrealistic expectations because I really wanted a tiger. And they don't let you do that. Unless you're Carol
Siegfried
Baskin.
and
Unless you're that bitch Carol Baskin, but
bitch Carol Baskin.
yeah. What was I gonna say? So my favorite Disney movie for a long time was always Sleeping Beauty. It's just my faves, and also I relate. But I get called Ariel a lot because of the hair. And I've dressed up as Ariel a couple times. I've skated as Ariel before. But I honestly, Frozen 2, man. So this is the thing. So Joe's favorite is Tangled, technically. But as he puts it, cinematically and musically, Frozen 2 is just like up here. It's so good.
It was very good.
I've been wanting to watch it again, but Cooper and I have watched it like 12 times.
Cooper and you?
Yeah, Cooper put it on, and I was like, Cooper, let's watch Frozen 2 again. Come watch it with mommy. And I made him watch Frozen 2 with me. So I love Sega Genesis was my first ever console, so I have a very fond place in my heart for the Sega Genesis. But I think my cousins had the Aladdin game, but I had the Lion King game. So Lion King's very good. My mom's favorite is Jungle Book, which coincidentally came out the same year she was born. My cat used to watch Aristocats, actually, for whatever reason. He actually, whenever it would come on, he would watch it. I'm trying to think what other favorites I have. I do love Tangled. I quote Tangled a lot. I'm trying to think. What would you say my favorite is?
What would I say your favorite is?
Yeah.
I would say, I think Sleeping Beauty is probably
Still my favorite. Prince Philip's my favorite.
I would say The Little Mermaid is up there.
Yeah.
You really do like The Little Mermaid.
Also, if you don't know, there's not only a sequel with her daughter Melody, but there's also a prequel. Ooh, Mulan's good. So my Theater on Ice team actually did Mulan, so it's really cool. What is it? So every time Joe streams and goes, all right, let's get down to business, I'm at home going, to defeat the Huns. Yeah. Every single time. It never fails. And just anyway. But yeah, Mulan's a great one. You've watched Mulan.
Yeah, I have watched.
Yeah, we watched that. I made you watch that not that long ago. I'm doing all right, Wakita. How about you? I'm trying to think. What else have you watched? What have I made you watch? Oh, I made him watch Pinocchio. He wasn't impressed, but I mean, low bar.
Yeah. I was kind of. I could take it or leave it with Pinocchio.
Pinocchio's. I love Figaro though. I'm trying to think. What other Disney movies do you guys like? Up is very good. We were watching Monsters University the other day. Monsters Inc. is good.
That guy was Andy Reid.
Some football coach. And I was like,
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid, I guess.
Head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, sure. But I'm like, that looks like the older guy from Monsters Inc. And I had to pull it up, and it's got the same stash and everything. I swear, he's coaching football now. Good for him.
Yeah.
After he married his frat brother's mom. It was weird.
He's
like, don't think of me as your dad. Think of us as having the same mom, wife. Wait, that's not right. That's a sequel that was very, very good.
What about some feels?
Well, I already mentioned Moana. I was partway through a bottle of Moscato the first time we watched Moana, and so I sit on the left part of the couch usually, and Joe sits to the right of me, and I'm like this. He's like,
Grandma
okay,
turns
babe.
into a stingray.
Grandma turns into a stingray. I'm like, shut up, and I'm crying. I still cry every single. So it's funny. I always joke that I'm like a gooey marshmallow center with a crunchy bitch exterior. There are certain Disney movie moments that will still make me cry every single time. There's certain movie moments in general. Like, literally, every time Amos Diggory gets Cedric's body, I cry my eyes out. Literally, as soon as he says, "That's my son, my boy," the waterworks start. Up will make me cry, absolutely. Ooh, Treasure Planet. We're going deep in the archives now. I like it. Yes. Very good. Very good movie. I haven't seen it in a very, very, very long time. So Frozen 2, when Elsa gets to Atahalan and then it's her mom there, I just fucking lose it. I literally, like, I'm getting welled up right now. Like, as soon as their duet starts up, I'm toast. I'm just, stick a fork in me, I'm done. When Moana's grandmother dies, I cry. When she's, like, returning the heart of Te Fiti, I start to get, like, weepy. I'm trying to think what else.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh! How to Train Your Dragon is so good. I love Toothless. That's another really, like, that's a good one. The sequel's not bad either. That's a pretty good one.
The sequels are fine.
Sequels? There's more than one?
Oh yeah, there's
Have I watched them all? I don't remember now. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm like,
there's How to Train Your Dragon, there's How to Train Your Dragon
How to Train Your
2,
Corgi.
and then what? How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. I think it's technically the third
Oh,
one.
is it the one where he finds his mom?
Yeah, that's the one that fucking
That's
gets
the
me.
one with all the fields where he finds his... Yeah, it's not Disney, though, for us to saying.
No,
but it's
I
a
know,
very good
but
animated film.
It's just, yeah. That's one that even gets me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he finds his mom.
Well, it's not more that than it is when his dad basically finds the mom and is like, "I always loved you." Stop. It's like,
I'm gonna get weepy.
oh,
I don't know if you guys can see this, but I literally, like, well, I'm such a marshmallow. What was the one I was just thinking of, too, that's, like, another one? Oh, I love Brave. That's one that doesn't get a lot of, like, press. It doesn't get talked about, but I love Brave. How could I forget? What's one of my favorites? Super underrated. Did poorly in the box office.
Did poorly in the box office?
They expected it was going to be a big hit right after Little Mermaid.
Hercules.
I think you mean Hercules. I literally love Hercules. Also, for those who have seen Lizzo's video for Rumors and you know Hercules, please tell me that that is not directly like the Muses. Like, you have to, you just watch them together.
Do
and
you find it amusing?
I do. Honestly, I love Hercules. For years, I made a custom sound on my phone for, well, I'm dating myself here. I did it on my Sidekick LG, or LX, Sidekick LX. It was like a $400 Sidekick, and I thought it was so cool. Like, cost me a fortune. I was in high school. But I had a custom sound on it for my text messages. And it was the sound Pegasus makes when Hercules first gets him, when Zeus first introduces him. And he's like, he's a magnificent horse with the brain of a bird. And it's like, and it's like, and it literally makes me laugh every time. So I made that my text message noise for the longest time, and it just cracked me up.
Inside Out.
Oh, literally feels all of them. Inside Out also helped me study for the MCAT because of all the universal feelings. Inside Out is here. That's a lot of therapists will actually use that to connect with children.
I thought that was very well done.
Nightmare Before Christmas, I believe, is owned by Disney and also very, very good. What is it?
I was saying that's a very good tool.
Oh, it's an excellent tool for like child therapists because it makes it something very tangible for children and a way to express how they're feeling. It's a fantastic movie, fantastic tool.
Yeah. Soul.
Oh, we watched that recently. That's a very good one. Soul, so good. Really loved it. Wasn't terribly in the field, but it was a really, really good movie. I'm trying to think what else. I had one in the back of my mind and I like completely forgot now. I feel like this like the obscure ones too, like Rescuers Down Under, and like some of the old school ones. I don't know why I'm thinking of this. This is not Disney, but Fern Gully. Do you remember Fern Gully?
No, I don't.
Fern Gully, great movie. You grow up and realize it is kind of fucked up, but it's a great movie. You've never watched Fern Gully?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Baby.
Question.
I know. Is it Forrest Gump? This man could quote you the entire movie of Forrest Gump most likely. Okay, so other category. Favorite live action movie other than Forrest Gump.
Live action movie?
Yes. And for you guys too, what's your favorite like actual like regular cinematic movie? My 8th grade yearbook will tell you that my favorite movie was Seven, which when you consider I was 13 at the time, kind of messed up. Fantastic movie. Still love it. Great movie. Have you watched Seven? I know you know the plot and like
I
peak moments.
We've seen some of it together at a minimum.
See, Ready Player One, I think I got bits and pieces of. I don't think I watched the whole thing.
Ready Player One I've seen that. That one's pretty good.
So I like some older movies, to be honest. There's two that like are very much ones that I watched with my mom growing up that like I could watch anytime, like any day. If you're like, do you want to watch this movie? I'd be like, yes, let's do it. Like I never get to, actually there's three, but the two primarily, it's Steel Magnolias, which makes me cry like a little bitch every time. Every time. That is such a good movie, but it is so sad.
Did you mention Big Hero 6?
Oh, ba la la la. That's a great movie too. I love Big Hero 6. The other one is Fried Green Tomatoes, which is another one that it's like feel good but make you cry your eyes out. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. Cinematically, they're fabulous. Obviously, the storylines are fantastic. I am such a nerd that a group of friends and I watched all 3 extended cuts together in a 13-hour marathon. Yes, the Whistle Stop Cafe and Secrets in the Silence. If you have not watched Fried Green Tomatoes, you need to at least give it a chance if you can find it. It's such a good movie. There are times where I'm like, Tawanda! And it's like, nobody knows what I'm talking about unless they've seen it. And I love that movie. So it's really good. The other one, that's another one that's not really talked about, it's a little bit older, is First Wives Club. I say that all the time. Sorry, lady, we're younger and faster. Sorry, girls, I'm older and I have better insurance. It's such a good movie. It's honestly, it gets you. Honey, I don't understand how you could hit their car that many times. First Wives Clubs, am I right? Like, that is such a good movie. Remember, ladies, don't get mad. Get everything. That's such a good movie. Yes.
Who says that?
You know who says that because I've told you.
I know. You.
It's Ivana Trump. Which actually, Ivanka's real name is Ivana, but Ivanka. Hey. But anyway, but yes. You own them mostly on Voodoo. I've actually not done Voodoo. The video platform thing. Not like Macumba kind of Voodoo.
Yeah.
But you know, First Wives Club, the beginning's a little dark, but it's like what a great movie, honestly. And like my favorite part is like so when Goldie Hawn's like puts 50 cents on his desk and he's like, "What's this?" And she's like, well, "You're half of our assets. I sold it for what I thought it was worth." And she's like, "Oh, fine. You get the thing." He like gives him the dollar. You have over 300 movies on there, so you're a movie buff too. I love a good movie, honestly. Like I will watch pretty much most categories of movies. I'm a little bitch about horror though. I get so afraid. I'm terrified of the dark. So I have a hard time with I like scary movies, but I have a hard time. And like I also have to have somebody there with me because like I am such a little bitch about it. I am so terrified. But I do like them. Not super into sports movies. That's my one thing where I'm like, meh. I like historical movies. I like romantic movies. I like comedy movies. I like drama. I like most movies. I love musicals for the most part, except I'm very critical because I was a musical theater kid. I'm very critical of musicals that get movie interpretations that I don't feel are as well done. It's like good case in point, Into the Woods. If you've never seen Into the Woods, the musical, then the movie version is pretty good. But when you know the original score and you watch it, it's not as good. Although I still love Meryl Streep. But like they changed a lot of things. And Your Fault got a lot slower. And some of the... anyway, a lot of the songs just did not get done the right way. The Terry Pratchett books never got a good attitude. Which books are those? I used to be such a book nerd, and I never have time to read anymore. What's the book series Queen Frostless? Because I don't know if I'm familiar. Oh, it's a little fruit fly in here. But yeah, no, I love a good movie. I love a good movie night. And it's so funny. So my mom likes half popped popcorn, so it works out really well. Like more at my parents because like we eat the regular popcorn and my mom eats the half popped. Discworld series. I'm not familiar with those. What's sort of the category? I'm a nerd for like a good YA book. If I'm being honest, it's terrible. I love the Percy Jackson books. The movie is pretty good, but I love the books. They're easy, quick little reads, but they're good little YA books. If I'm being honest. I'm trying to think. What other movies? I'm loving this. I love like the get to know you. You guys get to ask me things. I get to ask you things. Joe has left me apparently. So is the dog. They've all left me. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so Erin and I are going like back with the movies, but those are all very good. I don't know if I know Simon Birch. Damn, I'm like missing out on stuff apparently. I need to start doing like the random thing, like so I don't know if you know this, but Netflix now has like a shuffle, like a random, and you can click on it and just like watch something. Sandlot, I think I've watched like once a million years ago, but I need to watch it again. But my little buddy, that's his like favorite movie. He's 4, and it's like his favorite movie right now. Two movies that I love that are historical-ish, historical with a little wiggle room, but I love them. I can watch them anytime. The Duchess with Keira Knightley. A League of Their Own. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Such a good movie. The League of Their Own is amazing, 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 amazing. That's another one. If you have not watched it, please watch it. It's fantastic. But yeah, The Duchess with Keira Knightley. It's loosely based on history, but it's about Georgina the Duchess of Devonshire and oh, see, that's another one you're gonna make me weepy. Hear that call, the time has come for one and all. I'm not gonna do the rest because I'll cry. My ass will cry. Anyway, but yeah, I love that one. So anyway, it's based off of memoirs that were written by and what's the last name? Maybe. The other one that I love is the Marie Antoinette movie. That was a Sofia Coppola film that got destroyed by critics, but I thought it was a really, really great. I just love it because it's just so, I don't know, so frivolous, and I just love it. It's a very good. The costuming is beautiful, and there are some moments where you kind of like. I feel for Marie Antoinette though. There was a lot of things that weren't her fault that she got blamed for. I don't think I've watched My Girl. You've watched A League of Their Own. I've made you watch A League of Their Own, haven't I?
You crying? There's no crying in baseball.
It's such a good movie. I don't think I have watched My Girl. Have you?
No.
Who's in it? I'm trying to think. There's a lot of times I've seen movies too that I'll catch them like partway through, like at the very beginning, but I like miss the name and I'll watch it and then I'm like, oh, I've seen that.
You gotta watch My Girl.
Is it on like Netflix or Amazon Prime? Do we know? Because then I can watch it.
You gotta watch Marley and Me.
No, I've watched Marley and Me. That's terrible. And no one expects it. You fucking watch Marley and Me like, oh, it's gonna be a cute rom-com. No. Stab you right in the guts with the feels. Oh god, why would you say that? It's so sad. It's so sad. You're gonna literally make me cry. Oh, alright, I'll look up My Girl. I'll look it up. I'll see if I can find it, but why would you say Marley and Me? Oh, Macaulay Culkin? I have not seen it. He looks like crazy nowadays.
He's a dad now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Dad. Talking like the baby's less than a year old, I think.
Pandemic baby.
I don't know, maybe.
That's so weird. I can't picture him being a dad. It's when he was a kid still. Yeah, I think the only ones I've ever watched were the Home Alone movies, really, with him. I think those are his only ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. You know who hadn't aged well too is is it Haley Joel Osment?
Oh yeah, Haley Joel
He
Osment
has
is
not
like
aged well.
he got a that chunky.
Yeah, but he doesn't look like well. Like Macaulay Culkin looks like he could be like a serial killer nowadays. Like he went like the disheveled way.
Yeah.
But I've never seen The Sixth Sense.
Fat and balding. Welcome. Welcome to the club, Haley Joel Osment.
You're like, it's me, I'm bitches.
It's me.
Water break. Bridge to Terabithia, I feel like I've seen, but a long time ago. We got a water break redeemed.
Yay, hydration.
Yay, hydrate or dihydrate, as you guys would
I
say.
drank all of my coconut water.
That's good. Now you won't die for at least a little bit longer. Joe's my cactus. I have to feed and water him, otherwise he'll die. But that's how that goes.
I can feed myself, but I don't water
I can feed
myself.
myself if I want to.
I do not water myself. That is something I admit to.
We should do a couple stream too. You see me crying a lot with this list. Okay, literally when I tell you, I could not have described it better. I have a crunchy bitch exterior. Like I seem like really mean and bitchy, and I kind of be, but like I have a total marshmallow center. I cry for fucking everything. Like I think something's cute, like really like adorable and like heartwarming. I'll cry. There are songs that I listen to in the car and I cry. There are songs I picture dancing with you at our wedding and I'm like ball mad, but I'm like, I gotta like get some exposure there because I can't be crying all the time. Milo and Otis, that's the cat and the dog, right? Yes. Seen that, I think. Yeah, I can be a crybaby. You haven't cried in years except from laughing. Oh my god. I cried at work the other day. But I had a really bad day. There are days where it's so bad I will sit in my car and cry after work. That has happened. Not often. And usually I'll get like so I frustrated cry. Like I'll get like the other night I was so angry that I cried. Oh yeah. So I remember so I used to be really big into anime a million years ago. My mom came to my room and she's like, "What are you crying about?" And I was like, and she's like, "You're really crying over a cartoon." And I was like, "Never mind, forget it." People crying makes you feel awkward because you can't. Like you can't or you don't. like, like do you feel the emotions? I feel all the feels. I'm a very feely feeler.
Welcome to the Sociopath Club, Aaron. I'm there with you.
Both? Question mark? No, you can cry.
I haven't cried in years.
Lie detector test determined that's a lie. Doesn't happen often. I've seen you cry. Very rarely. For me, it's about a weekly occurrence. I'll cry if I'm frustrated. I cry if I'm laughing. I cry if things are emotional. I cry. I have a very vivid, like, memory and a very vivid imagination. So, like, if I'm thinking about a memory, I can get emotional. Am I crying right now? I could. I could literally, like, I keep welling up periodically because of things we're talking about. Like, literally, I could end up crying. Like, it would not be difficult whatsoever. Like, I'm telling you, there are movie moments, there are song moments, there are places that I'll go that I'll get emotional, and then I'm like holding back tears, and I'm like, cry on the inside like a winner. That's a movie quote too. Rage on subscribe. You have a problem crying with you said all my body tries to keep it to a point it hurts. Yeah, honestly, like it does feel very cathartic sometimes, but like sometimes I get really emotional. It's tough. My great grandmother, when I was little, she died when I was 9. But she used to say that you only get so many tears in a lifetime, and so don't waste them on silly things because you only. So apparently, I was getting quite a large. I cry like a little bitch. Like I'll give you a good example. Okay, Taylor Swift has a song she wrote about her mom and like her cancer battle, and I literally can't listen to it without crying. Like literally, cry my eyes out every time. Like I skip that track a lot of it. It's really. Or like certain lines in certain songs. I'm not like I'm a little BB. But anyway, guys, this has been really really fun. We should do something like this again. But Cooper's looking like he needs his din din. we gotta go home, go feed the puppy. He is not having fillet mignon tonight, but guys, this has been really fun. It's that hour though, so I'm gonna wrap things up. I want to thank you so much. Thank you to our new friends who came to hang out, old friends who came back to visit. And thank you guys again for having been so patient with us with, us not really being on schedule lately. I know it's been kind of difficult, so
Cough, cough, Joe.
yeah,
Cough, Joe. Cough,
no,
cough.
but it's honestly, but like, there's been times where like he has covered me when I was really busy. It's just been really, really hard because we've both been working a lot. Him so much more than me. Like,
I blame me too.
some days he's working like 10, 12, 14-hour days. Like, I mean, it's like when I say 60 hours, like that's like the bare minimum of what he's doing. I mean, it's really like there's days he's going from like 7:30 in the morning to like midnight. It's bad. So I appreciate you guys being patient and understanding with us, and hopefully you guys will see me next Wednesday. That's a normal nurse day. That is very true. But I hope you guys all stay safe and well. It's been awesome chit-chatting with you guys, and I hope we can do this again sometime soon. But I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.